Sorry.
All right, well, we're live, and we've got a full house. Let's just do a quick introduction. We are the backseat producers, and let's just go straight across the top bar. I'm assuming everybody's the same. Hey, this is Tony.
I'm Scott.
This is David.
This is Daryl.
This is
I'm
Andy.
T. Oh,
No, you're right. You're right.
I wasn't sure we were going to do that. Okay, so I'm T.
I'm Pip.
I'm Lena.
I'm Anna.
Oh, and this is a full house. Welcome to Backseat Producers, episode 500.
Jeez. I remember when you guys started, man.
Yeah, well, you were with us, if not physically, in spirit, because we had a copy of Podcasting for Dummies with us, like on the bed, sitting next to Anthony and I, who may show up this evening. I'm not sure. He may show up on the stream this evening. Yeah, and then you were there for 100 and 200 and skipped a couple.
I did. Yeah. I will say this, perhaps with the fourth. So give you a little background on the fourth edition. So it came out mid-November, and it's already paid for itself. It's already earned out.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Nice.
Wow, congratulations.
We're absolutely floored by it, me and Chuck. But I will tell you this about the fourth edition: my favorite thing to do. We actually removed the line, "You do not need an iPod to podcast with." We finally removed that, and it just felt like a weight had been lifted off our shoulders. Just thank you, sweet baby Jesus, it's to see the evolution of that book and other podcasters. People, I think what amazed Chuck and I the most was not just how different people were podcasting between then and now, but just who is still podcasting to this day. I think at one time I playfully nicknamed Jack Mangan the Iron Man of podcasting, but I believe that is now that title now belongs to Brian Ibbett. He's the guy.
Oh, wow, yeah.
He is still producing Coverville. He is on show 1,500.
That's impressive. I used to listen to Coverville.
Yeah.
See, there's my expert.
Oh my God,
podcasting practices.
the rarely seen expert podcasting practices for dummies. Yeah, good times. Good times, man.
Whoop! I still have the disc inside too.
Oh my God! Hang on to that because PG Holyfield is on there somewhere. I know.
Oh,
for a
wow.
fact. Yeah, PG Holyfield's. I made it a point to make sure that he got on the disc. But yeah, man, that was just crazy good times. Crazy good times. It's hard to believe that we've been at this for 4 editions and 15 years.
There's my signed copy of it too.
That'll be worth something one day. Maybe.
We hope.
Yeah. It's and I don't know how many people are aware of this, and if you even remember it, T, but you are actually responsible for the name of the podcast as it is today.
No, I remember that.
Yeah, because we previously were Fanboy SmackDown,
right?
And
at one time you were called Fear the Boot.
Nope, that wasn't us.
That wasn't us. That was somebody else.
That was somebody else. That was actually David's previous podcast.
Okay.
Yep. And to my knowledge, they're still going.
Yep.
They're another St. Louis-based podcast. They do gaming. And we had the idea that this was going to be a podcast about, telling it like it is about geeky things. And then we realized we only talked about movies. so the name changed. We've talked about a few other things along the road, but
I've called myself the great enabler when it comes to podcasting. I've gotten a lot of people into podcasting, and I tell people the same thing: is that when they go, "I'm interested, I want to host a podcast," I said, "Okay, the first thing you have to accept here."
Podcasting for dummies.
Well, that's the first thing I tell them. But the other thing I tell them is,
ABC.
all right, you just have to remember when you say you're interested in starting a podcast, you're saying it wrong. You're saying, I'm interested in hosting several podcasts.
Yep.
So I just say instead of splitting it here, just go ahead and say I want to get into podcasting, and that way you're not fooling yourself, and it'll just be one podcast. There's no such thing as just one podcast. This is like the Pringles of the Pringles of streaming media. Once you pop, you can't stop. I mean, it's just one thing evolves into something else, and evolves into something else, and evolves into something else. So yeah, and I'm always tickled when we're doing these editions to see who is still podcasting, who's got back into podcasting. That's just a joy.
It's a pretty good, stickability rating.
Yeah.
15, 16 years.
Not bad.
Yep. Yeah, that's where we're at. At the end of April, it'll be 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're hardcore. We're hardcore.
Yeah. At the time, I had a 3-year-old and just one child. Now there's 2 of them, and one of them's 18, the other's 13. So,
Oh my gosh.
Hey, when you listen to the Podcasting for Dummies companion podcast, even to this day, you hear this little 2-year-old voice go, "Dad, do you want a podcast?" And
Yeah, I don't know if she remembers that she did that. So
hey,
that's not
look,
a reminder.
yeah, and yeah, one of her first words was podcast. I'll never forget that. And now she's getting ready to enter her senior year in high school.
wow, that's
She
amazing.
She qualified for the National Honor Society. I'm like, oh my God.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, just a quick show of hands. I know, to my understanding, Daryl and Anna, is Backseat Producers your only podcast that you've hosted?
Yeah, that I've ever been on. Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Lena has a couple to her name.
Yeah.
You've been on Backseat Producers.
Yep. Backseat Box Office.
Yep.
And the very short-lived Backseat Book Club.
That's right. Which Scott, I guess that kind of leads right into talking to Scott. You did a couple of other Backseat shows, and
so to talk about the podcast's plural problem, a few months back, I had the opportunity to try to sort through my career on Ye Old Podchaser, which doesn't go far back enough to track all my credits. But the short version is that I have hosted, edited, mastered, guested, or otherwise significantly contributed to 1,420 individual episodes of podcastery.
Jeez.
Wow.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. I went pro a few years back, and I actually tip my hat to Tony to giving me a push to get started on that long path. But we would joke about the podcaster paychecks, but now I've actually cashed about 60 or so of those, and that's real. That's good for me.
Congratulations.
Never mind that I hate my boss.
Well, some bosses will force that situation.
Yeah.
I wanna throw in a little on Backseat Book Club. T and Pip, we interviewed you. It was quite a sad affair because I didn't know what I was doing. You guys were very gracious. Hi, baby. Hello, baby.
Oh, we all, we know the pain of podcasting, especially starting off.
And I remember the Backseat Book Club, and I remember the things that you remember. It's not so much the good interviews, because the good interviews are very easy to file in your in the back of your head, and you don't have to worry. because these are people I definitely want to go to again. The one thing you got to remember, Lena, is avoid the blacklist. And right now on our blacklist, I think we have one. We have one, which is not too bad for roughly 15 years of podcast interviews. And to give you an idea, because there is one, it's that gives you an idea of just how bad, And here's the worst bit. We gave that interview podcast 2 bites at the apple. And when and I remember when we came back the second time, I said, "Hun, why did you say yes?" And she's like, "Oh, it'll be different this time. Trust me, it'll be different this time." We get off the podcast, and I'm just staring at my wife, and she just went, "I'll listen next time. I promise."
I don't recall that.
But that wasn't you, Lena. So that's the good news. It wasn't you.
If I'm not mistaken, Backseat Book Club didn't have somebody that came on the show that's been blacklisted, but after the fact was. We won't say any names, but Scott knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Like 2 years later, I was in a. This is a good story. So 2 years after that episode in question, I was in a podcast, a like podcast like tips and support Facebook group, and some guy had just come on to vent about how a very complicated session had crashed. And obviously, the whole thread is buy a Mac, switch programs, whatever. It's always buy a Mac. It's always buy a Mac. But halfway down the list, I just sort of ask the very important question: do you want solutions or do you want me to listen? Right? Like do you want to cuss? Do you want to bitch or do you want an answer? And it gets one single solitary like. From that motherfucker.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I remember now. Yeah.
Yep.
I blocked that out.
Yeah. And this is actually a name that T and Pip, I believe you would know if we shared it with you. Yeah.
Wow.
A person of known quantity.
Yeah, it was a review, and the book had a lot of criticism to it, and then that person chose to comment to the critiquer.
Oh no!
No.
Yeah.
Goodreads fight before Goodreads fight could happen.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions. I have a few candidates.
Well, we'll have to ask off stream.
Yeah, well, that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, a few beers, a few sausages.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
Tony, spill the beans. Who was it?
So welcome Jolie and Eric.
Hey.
Hey.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
We were just kind of going through a little bit of our podcasting cred. Jolie was another backseat producer. Am I right in remembering that is that your only podcast that you've been a part of, or has that changed?
So far that is it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're a nerd and you work all the time.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And
sign.
And Eric was part of the podcast with David.
Once upon a time.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Which famously ran for exactly 200 episodes and quit while they were ahead. With an absolutely amazing video.
I was going to say went out on a highlight with the farewell video. So.
Yes, it was. That was really epic and worth watching. It's worth going back to watch. I think I do that about once a year.
I have never heard a single episode, but I've seen that video at least twice. Just for context.
Listen, always end on your own terms.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the best way to do it.
Yep. And I've made mention. I think I've only told a couple of people. I had a couple of goals for this podcast, and once we hit a certain number, we got to a certain point. I wanted two things. I wanted to get to episode 500. It was like yeah, here we are. That's one. The other one is going to happen next week. Well, the next time we record. Because we started the podcast with talking about Star Wars, talking about the original trilogy. And I wanted to, at some point, talk about every Star Wars movie as part of the podcast, the 9. And next week, because we took most of a year off for a variety of reasons, one of the biggest was that we weren't meeting in person, which is mostly how we record, until we found, until we jumped onto StreamYard and made this, we weren't meeting. So we missed Rise of Skywalker as a review when it was contemporary. So for episode 501, for the 501st.
501st. Very nice.
Yeah, it was going to be, that was what we were going to talk about tonight. But then I realized the 501st. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so no, we need something different.
Yep.
So I'll see that and raise. I think you should not only look at the 9. If you haven't done yourself the service, you really should also include the Mandalorian in that. Because I was going to suggest the Mandalorian in this one consumer's humble opinion not only is better than the last 3 Star Wars films. What? No, let's go even further. The last 6 Star Wars films combined. Every episode is a freaking movie.
Yeah.
Every episode, it's got the quality of film, and the stuff they're doing on that show is ground. I mean, have you seen the making of where they talk about the volume?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want one of those.
There's within I think a year there's going to be 4 of them.
Wow.
4 volumes? That doesn't surprise me at all. That does not surprise me at all.
We're not allowed to have one.
Oh, come on. Look, if Daryl can remodel a bathroom, I think we can make a volume. I think we can do it. Just get a couple of DVs and some duct tape, and we're golden, baby. We're golden.
All right.
Mando's going to come up.
Yeah.
Honestly, it can't not.
It can't not. No, because it's and the level of talent that they're getting for that that series is redonkulous. It is utterly redonkulous. So it's just a fun show to watch. Yeah,
it's just so much fun.
I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall when Werner Herzog, this phenomenal, this powerful, heavy dude comes on the set and goes, "What do you mean you're going to computer animate Baby Yoda? You can't do that. It's part of the art." And you can see Favreau going, okay. Let's shoot the scene. Let's go.
Apparently he only treated the doll as a real thing. In between takes, he would only
he only addressed he only addressed the doll. He did not address the controllers at all. Yeah,
that is either a great disrespect or a tremendous respect to the puppeteers. I think Tim Curry had a similar thing on Treasure Island, right? Tim Curry had a similar thing on Treasure Island where he would only interact with Kermit, not Jim.
Right. Well, I mean, Scott, it was a story I remember hearing Virginia Hay talk about on the set of Farscape. They would have these very long days, and she would start talking to Rigel. And she just talked, going, man, just what a day. This has been so hard. I think I'll be, just got to get to the end of the day. And she said, I remember I was just really talking to Rigel. And he reached over and he patted my hand, and I was like, and I patted his hand back, and then I stopped, looked around him, and there are the 2 guys going, "Hey, Virginia," and they're just like, she's just like, you just lose yourself into the set. You don't know who to talk to.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
So we are here tonight actually to talk about a movie. We can talk about anything. I am open to it. If you've ever listened to an episode of this podcast ever, we don't stick with just the movie.
Super scripted, right?
Right, yeah.
Very tight, very tight.
Yeah, that's always the way we've been. So tonight we're talking about Hunt for the Wilderpeople. And if I'm not mistaken,
before we get into a review of this,
what?
it's episode 500, so I thought I would crack open some. This is sparkling cider, but we're going to pretend it's champagne. And I will be drinking my sparkling cider.
Oh, yes.
My new penis glass.
Well, hello. Hello. Classy.
My Christmas present from Tony.
Nothing but.
And Tony, when I said I was doing some prep earlier, so the hole at the top, if you can't see, is very narrow.
Yes.
So to get any fluid in there, you have to sound it with these funnels that Tony gave me. And with carbonated liquids, it doesn't. It takes a minute. It takes a minute. So.
I appreciate that you described that as sounding, not funneling, sounding. Well done.
Well, and the gift as a whole was the glass, the funnels, because when I got the glass, I was like, there's no way we're getting liquid into this thing, so we need funnels.
You need a catheter, sure.
Yep. And I got David's vodka of choice, the locally distilled Mastermind vodka.
It's so smooth.
It's so smooth.
It is.
Also, after I poured it, it doesn't really look good on the camera, but this is a too dark color to be drinking out of this. It sends the wrong message, I think.
Yeah.
Got that nice amber, right?
Careful, David. Once you go black, you never go back. Just remember that. So what was the name of this movie again?
Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
I find it so interesting that you chose such a, I guess, wholesome movie to talk about. It seems uncommonly wholesome.
Well, you know what? I had not seen this movie at all until this past week.
Oh wow!
Really?
Yeah. It was just one that missed my radar, and I was aware of it, but I had not
talked about it a lot.
I know you two both talk about it a lot. That's I think that's where I heard of it first.
So I'm going to actually put my wife on the spot since she is the resident Kiwi. I think my wife should just give a brief summary of the film and talk a little bit, talk about what she knows, which I'm going to tell you right now is a hell of a lot about Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Kick us off, Pip.
Well, I mean, I love this movie. I'm not, and it's not just because it's made in New Zealand. New Zealand makes some shitty movies too, but it's got Taika Waititi, who is just. I think he's like trying to chase down Peter Jackson for the Sir title because we're only allowed one Sir in the country at a time, so they have to wrestle for it. And of course, one of my favorite.
Look, Taika's got reach. I think he can do it. Like Peter Jackson's lost a lot of weight. Taika's got reach. I think this will be a good contest.
Plus, he's got that Maori blood in him. He's got that Maori blood. He's gonna go.
Yeah, but I wouldn't underestimate Pete because look at all he had to work hard for those Lord of the Rings movies for years and years. So he's got, I think he's got staying power. But, pay-per-view, I'm sure that'll happen at some stage. But, and it's also got one of my favorite New Zealand actors who is Sam Neill, who looks really like my dad. And every time I see him.
Oh, he's so dad in this movie, though. Just the daddest look he could have.
He is so dad. And he's like, angry forest dad,
just ornery bush dad.
He's like, I mean, in New Zealand we have the tradition of people who go bush. So and there's a lot of I'm getting very misty-eyed. There's a lot of deer in the woods, in the forests of New Zealand, in the bush. And so there's a long history of people just living in the bush, killing deer, and staying there. And so when you see him and he looks so rough, you just like, yeah, he's definitely a bush man.
That's Hector. You can call him Uncle if you like.
No,
you can't. I mean,
You said Bush.
This is such a far cry. This is such a far cry from what people remember Sam Neill for. Going, I will go to Montana and marry a round American woman, and we will cook rabbits. And
it would have been nice to see Montana.
It would have been nice to see to go from Vasily in Hunt for October to Heck. Do you do anything, or are you just ornamental? I mean, wow,
very ornamental.
And there's also, I mean, the thing was that so Taika Waititi, this is his second film. And just to give you an idea of Taika,
his second full length film.
Yeah, he did actually a third, because what didn't he do? Boy,
yeah. Kingy was Boy, right?
Yeah.
Was Eagle versus Shark before this one?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so this is his fourth.
I love Eagle versus Shark.
I said I couldn't get through Eagle versus Shark. It was just.
He thought it was too awkward, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
We'll get into that too. I'm going to come in there, and it's gonna get nasty.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll be here for another 3.5 hours.
In it, and he's got curiously weird, attractive lips, so we can't talk about it.
But this was the first. This was the first really big movie. This is the first big movie for Taika, or rather second, because his first big one was What We Do in the Shadows, which the thing was, Pip and I were like, we were evangelists for that film. We told everybody and their mother, you've got to see this film, because we had seen clips of it while we were over in New Zealand. We were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then when it came here, we were just over the moon with how good it was. And then he did Hunt for but to give you an idea, he does What We Do in the Shadows, then he does Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and then he goes off to do Thor Ragnarok. I mean, that's a hell of a jump, but
not really, because he's always the quirky dude. He's always but the thing I think he really does really well, he does those sort of heartfelt, amazing things, and you're like, oh, this is so pure and so wholesome, and then he suddenly stabs you in the back and twists, and suddenly you're crying, and you're like, where did that come from, Taika?
Pip, we're not here to talk about Jojo Rabbit. We're here to talk about Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Okay,
we talked about that a month or two ago.
I mean, Hunt for the Wilderpeople stabs you in the heart early.
It does. But I remember when we walked. So there were three of us that saw the film. It was me, Pip, and Lauren Scribe Harris. And Lauren and I were just chuckling about the film, but Pip was really, really quiet. And I'm like, "Are you okay, baby?" And she's just like, "I'm just really homesick."
Yes.
I mean, if you really want to know what it's like to spend any amount of time in New Zealand, that's the movie you want to watch, is Hunt for the Wilderpeople. It's got every
it encapsulates New Zealand quite well, especially the bit about the sausages. I mean, we're very sausage focused. I want that glass.
Me too.
She sang a lovely song and offered a lovely sausage. I mean, yeah. I mean, Julian Dennison was just brilliant in that film, and but to give you an idea of just how Kiwiana this is, you need to go back. So do yourself a favor, go back and watch just the segment when I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he plays Murray in Flight of the Conchords. He played the Bushman.
Darby.
Yes,
Rhys Darby.
Rhys Darby.
Yeah.
So Rhys Darby says they're trying to figure out how to get away from the cops, and he goes, "We can take Barry," and everyone goes, "What's Barry?" And you see this jacked up Toyota truck.
Well, that's a Hilux. You can't stop a Hilux.
Well, no, but
highlight. But I got to tell the story because it's part of my heritage, Mr. Morris. Don't make me come in there.
So watch this scene, and then Pip.
So Barry and Crumpy. In the 80s, there was a guy called Barry Crump who wrote the book on which The Hunt of the Wilderpeople is loosely based. And he was one of these guys that lived in the bush for a long, long time. And he was also a writer. But in the 80s, they had a series of commercials where Crumpy, Barry Crump, is driving a Toyota, and he gets the city slicker, and they're in the car, and they're driving through the bumps, and there's water coming in, and he's going, "It's a bit bumpy through this stretch." So when he pulls back that covering, and you see that Toyota, for New Zealanders, it's like, "Oh my God, they're going there!"
And at one point, Julian Dennison actually says one of the lines from the commercials.
Yeah, he says, "Watch it, it's a bit bumpy through here," or something like that. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, after you watch that segment with the pickup truck, go to YouTube and do a search for Toyota trucks, Barry Crump. They're all there. And they are funny as hell.
Oh, actually, the bit where the Toyota jumps over a road and there's a guy taking pictures. The guy who's taking pictures is one of the original guys from. He's not Barry Crump.
It's Scotty.
Scotty. He's Scotty. Yeah. So that's why for people who didn't know that, it would be an odd thing. Like, why are they focusing on that guy for so long?
Because he's such a deep pull, but that gives you an idea of how Kiwiana Hunt for the Wilderpeople is and why. I mean, it holds a soft spot in my heart. We have to be in a right frame of mind to watch it because, man, afterwards, Pip Accents gets way heavier, and she gets super homesick.
I will say there are some other things. I mean, New Zealand movies before sort of Peter Jackson era were always very dark, grim. We're all on the edge of the world and we're all going to die here, kind of existential angst.
The piano.
Yeah, if you've seen The Piano, that's New Zealand theatre cinema beforehand. So some of the shots, like the bit where they're being chased by the army, there was a movie called Goodbye Pork Pie, which was literally a movie in the 80s about a guy driving one of the old style minis down, I can't even remember why he was doing it, down the length of New Zealand, and along the various ways there were all sorts of car chases and bits would fall off the car. And some of the shots that he recreated were just straight out of some of that early 80s, early 90s kind of New Zealand cinema. But they're not being played for like, this is grim and we're all going to die at the end of the universe. They're just being played for fun, which made them far more enjoyable. And that bit where they're speeding and the army's chasing them, that is actually the army proving ground in the middle of the North Island as well. So they would have been probably driving over unexploded ordnance, but hey,
I was worried that they were going to go there.
Yeah, I half expected them to hit some mines on the way. And
yeah.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting because when I first watched it, I thought, oh, this is down in because just the way the bush looked, I thought it was down in the South Island where there's less people and there's more bush. And then when they got to the bit where they climbed up into the mountains and they looked down, I was like, oh, I don't think that is the South Island. And it actually turned out that they were sort of in the Urewera region, which is one of the more isolated parts of the North Island. And it's got a sort of an amazing patch of really dense forest that I'm going to
majestical,
go. I'm
baby.
really nerding out here hard, but during the sort of late part of the 1800s, the Maori people actually fought back against the British, and that area is known for being part of the sort of the king movement. They created themselves a Maori king and fought back against the British and gave them a real bloody nose. And so it's always known for sort of being the dense, sort of more mysterious part of the country where Maori warriors might suddenly appear out of the bush and stab you. So I thought it was really interesting that in the movie, the young boy is a young Maori person who has been in an urban environment, and he's been transferred to a rural environment. And in the 60s, I know I'm getting on here. I'm waffling on. But in the 60s, the Maori population moved from being rural to being urban. So now he's actually coming back into the area of his people, and he doesn't know anything. He's been
now that he's started out learning to be gangsta.
Yeah, he started off with this gangster thing, but he actually, weirdly through Heck, a white Pakeha guy, learns about the area that his ancestors probably would have come from. So now it's got some layers to it that you might not be immediately apparent.
Immediately, yeah, that's great.
But also,
that's honestly why I'm really glad we've got you here, Pip, to expand on some of that stuff that we just might not be aware of without doing some research.
Yeah. It's a really interesting.
And we don't like doing research, so I'm not
Yeah, I noticed one of the underlying themes of this movie was the corrupting influence of the urban living and the purity of the cleansing purity of wilderness experience and stuff. I've seen that in a few other movies too. This one, they carried it off better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole, when I was growing up as a kid in New Zealand, Maori culture was like in the 80s and 90s was really on the decline. The language was dying out. The young people who lived in the city had no attachment to their ancestral lands. They didn't go to any sort of the marae, which is the meeting house, the area. They didn't have that connection. And then since sort of like the 90s, Maori people have been getting in touch with their own history and their own culture, and the language has really come back. And
there was a film that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, baby.
I was going to say it's also now an official language. Maori is the official language of New Zealand.
Everywhere you go in New Zealand, it was really inspiring. I was really moved by it. Everywhere you go in New Zealand, you've got an English description like of a placard or whatever, and on the other side it's in Maori, and the road signs, everything is that way. And at first I was kind of, it was a little jarring, but by the end of my first stay there, I was used to it. So when I came back to the States, I was like, oh, where's the other language? You know, it was a weird thing, but I was gonna mention to Pip that there was there've been two movies that have kind of explored the Maori culture really intensely, and I don't know who directed the film, but since we were talking about Mandalorian earlier, one of these films features it's the guy that's playing Boba Fett. I'm blanking on
Morrison.
Yeah.
Once Were Warriors.
Once Were Warriors, and it's about that. It's about the loss.
Yeah.
Of that culture.
It's a heck, but it's taken it's a very brutal film.
Yeah.
About gang violence in in urban Maori populations.
Yeah.
And how, it's a wonderful movie, but you've got to be in a unlike Hunt for the Wilderpeople, you've got to be in the right mood for that sort of your face.
These two New Zealand movies I'm going to mention are pretty dark. One's called Once Were Warriors. The other one Pip and I found, and I don't even know how Pip found it, but it's an amazing film, an astoundingly good film called Into the Deadlands, and the entire film is spoken in Maori, which had never been done before.
It's before white people turned up, so
yeah.
And and it's the lead guy is the one that played the Urukai in Lord of the Rings. He's massive, big dude, and it's some Maori martial arts there that are amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and how both of these movies play with play in the same vein as Hunt for the Wilderpeople is that, as Daryl points out, Hunt for the Wilderpeople is almost like a throwback to. This is the culture. I mean, it turns out that Julian Dennison's character doesn't really understand the mysticism that not only do the Maori folk follow, but also a lot of the people who live in the bush.
When you think about, oh gosh, I can't remember her name. The mother that dies, the auntie.
Yeah.
Bella.
Yeah. even she sort of says, "Oh, about the lake in the sky."
Yeah.
Yep.
But then Hex says, well, she didn't know who her people were, and she didn't. That was just something that she made up, and that was really kind of heartbreaking as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie with pure wholesome laughs and stuff, but it's also
it's got quite a few layers to it.
So I just want to take a question. Since we've actually got a New Zealand expert here, on a scale of
go ahead, David. I'll take a question. Yes, go ahead, David.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Pip, how much of a tragedy is it that in the Hobbit trilogy we got a fully CGI'd Manu Bennett and not a practical effect Manu Bennett? Because the man is chiseled like a Greek statue. And having him just do the voice is awkward.
Crime against humanity is what it is. It's
Asking the burning questions.
Yeah, now we're getting real.
If you watch Into the Deadlands, there is a bit where the Bad Maori tribe come up against him. It's just him, and there's all these other warriors. It does not go well for them. So
yeah, I don't doubt it.
I think that
he's a beast. I don't doubt it.
Oh my lord, I could talk about the Hobbit movies for such a long time, and all of them would be bad. All I can say is poor Peter Jackson. That's
Yeah. He did not want to be in that.
No, he did not want to be in that position, and yeah.
So as you were talking about these other movies, I just kind of peeked around. The Deadlands was a movie, but apparently also last year was a TV show.
Yeah, it was on Shudder.
On Shudder.
Now, when they did that, I really enjoyed the series, but it's horror. But they didn't do it in Maori because they were like, I don't know if American audiences are going to be able to read subtitles. So, but it's still.
I mean, nobody reads subtitles, right? Nobody.
But I think they wanted the sweet American Shudder Network money, so they were like, okay.
Yeah.
But it is a really good series. It does not have Manu Bennett in the TV series. It's only in the movie.
That's a tragedy.
If you want to get the full chiseled look, the movie. But I will say, I just got to say, there are two tribes, right? There's the cool there's the tribe let's all be peaceful and just hang out and eat fish and just chill, And then the other group turns up, and they're the cut Maori tribe. They've been to the gym. They've done some P90X. They're all in black, and they're like, "Shall we? We just want to hang out with you guys." That does not go well.
No, we nicknamed the Chill tribe. We nicknamed them the Couch tribe, and the villains of the movie we nicknamed the Gym tribe. Yes. And then there was the tribe of one, which was the guy who was the Urukai, and at one point 5 of the Gym tribe try to charge him, and all he is armed with is a patu, which is a jade club. And he just wails on these poor puppies, and yeah, I mean, granted, and that's the thing I find so fascinating about New Zealand film. It can be very, very dark. It can be very, very. I mean, piano dark, and then you got piano dark ramped up to 10, but then you see a film like Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and it's the lighter side of New Zealand, and when New Zealand goes light, it is such a fun ride. Another
little thing that made me go, oh, Taika, I see what you're doing there. The dog was called Zig.
Oh yeah.
And the kid goes, oh, you should get one called Zag, and you just know there's a horrible, sad story about Zag. Something awful happened.
And it's just a really delightful film. And when it was funny, what's even better is that there are faces that you see in Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and they pop up again in other works from Taika Waititi. In particular,
No Kid Left Behind.
Yeah, No Child Left Behind. No Child Left Behind. I mean, she was genius in that film. She was absolute genius. And I every time I watch the film, I always learn something new. But I think my first takeaway was I remember turning to Pip at one point and said, "What's Scroggin? What's Scroggin?" And she was like, "Well, go home. I'll make you some."
It's delicious is what it is. What do you call it?
Trail mix.
Trail mix. Yeah.
Oh.
Trail mix. No,
But
Well, you know, Sam Neill's in Thor Ragnarok too.
yeah, he is.
Yep.
He is. Oh.
And she, and the other thing it's terrific about Taika too is that I think this was like his. I mean, they would say that Thor Ragnarok was his breakout film, but in reality, I think what it was Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Because if it wasn't for Hunt for the Wilderpeople, I really don't think Marvel Studios would have said, "This guy's got something. Let's tap him to do Thor Ragnarok."
It was a surprise. I've got to admit.
Oh, it was still a surprise, but man,
Sure. Okay. All right. But
No,
here's
this is a Marvel move. Marvel's move is to find guys that get one really good festival darling. And then, all right, here's your script. Here's your storyboards.
one.
Here, half the previs, half your animations, they're done. Just make the rest of this fucking happen, because you got to hit your goddamn deadline.
But you see,
I
I'm agreeing with Dave. He had two, because again, What We Do in the Shadows was ridiculously popular, and I remember I couldn't make it to the to the retreat, but Pip took a copy of not Hunt for the Wilderpeople, What We Do in the Shadows. She took it to a writing retreat. And
I was a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Because I was like, are Americans really going to get this sort of humor? Are they?
The next morning, I believe it was the host, Alex White, was going through the cabin going, "Awaken! Awakey, wakey!" and there was a one author, Starla Hutchton, that was like hiding under the covers, and someone went into her room and went, "Peter, I brought you a chicken." I mean,
I think also what helped is Thor 1 and 2 sucked.
Whoa!
Oh no!
Back the fuck down.
And this is how we end up in 3-hour conversations, Tony.
I know.
I stand by.
I know. I expected none less. You know what? Look, hey, I brought supplies.
Tony,
I'm set for the long haul. It's fine.
Well, you know what, Tony?
The only thing I'm going to run out is ice.
My wireless headset reaches the fridge. I'm good to go.
Sorry. See. Okay, as Thor: The Dark World was problematic. I will be the first one to tell you that. However, every time I go back to watch the original Thor, I'm like, if there's anybody that could pull off Thor, it was Ken Branagh, because he gave it the levity that Thor. I was very skeptical going into Thor, very skeptical, because I've always hated that prick. I found
Thor, not Ken Branagh.
Not Ken Branagh, Thor.
No, you can hate Ken Branagh too.
You can fuck right off, Scott. You can fuck right off.
Hey, that season of Slings and Arrows was a documentary.
Don't even. Just don't fucking even.
So, Tony, what you drinking?
Mountain Dew and
we'll save that debate for another time.
I got some Diet Mountain Dew and some Peach Deep Eddy.
Oh,
here we go.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna go get me a beer then.
That sounds really good. So
it is.
I'll either go and get a beer, or I will, or I'll be here for another 3 hours. I'm gonna go get a beer. I promise.
All right, so to derail things, as movies about guys walking across New Zealand go, right in the middle, right? Exact middle of all movies about guys walking across New Zealand.
Think about other movies about guys walking across New Zealand. Well, as I said, we had Mini Coopers being driven around New Zealand from top to bottom. The piano didn't go very far. Yeah, I think it's probably one of the best guys. But the thing is, they're not actually going that far. They're just sort of going.
They just do a circle.
Yeah, they're just going around.
Well, mostly they're going up, which is very, and they're not running. They're doing it at a fast walk.
Well, you can't. Running's too hard. But I'm just razzing on a couple of Peter Jackson movies there.
Well, actually, weirdly, they did walk a fair amount of New Zealand, but I think some of it was helicopter. Don't tell anybody, but I think they might have used a helicopter in one or two parts. Like that bit where they got the ring to that volcano. I think there was a helicopter involved. Just saying.
Yeah, the eagle has landed.
Yeah.
Shh, T's back. Shh, shh.
Oh, do you want to hear a story about a helicopter in the One Ring? Just
I knew you were going to tell the story. This is how we go 3.5 hours.
Yeah, well, I've got it. Okay, short story. So we met this guy when we were at Hobbiton, and he was talking about he's one of the helicopter pilots, and he was saying that New Zealand accent. So Americans, they're weird, right? And I was like, yes, but no. And they said, well, I got there's a American couple, quite rich, getting me to fly around, fly them all around, show them all the Lord of the Rings stuff, right? And one of them, we flew up to Mount Doom, and the guy reaches into his pocket and pulls out the One Ring that he'd bought from the guy that made the original One Ring. And he threw it out the window. And he was so baffled. He was so baffled by why the American did that.
That sounds about right.
Listen, we're willing to pay for an experience. And that experience is chucking a ring in a volcano.
I mean, honestly, as these things go, it's no weirder than the guys that actually pay to walk from Hobbiton all the way to that mountain.
That is true. That is a fair bit of walking, actually. There was also apparently Germans are just as weird, because a German guy turned up at Hobbiton. He was like 6'3", but he was convinced he was a hobbit. And
How dare you be heightist?
Very tall hobbit.
So he was there and he was dressed, and then they showed him around Hobbiton, and then they said, okay, well, we're closing now. And he's like, no, I am home. And so they had a hard time convincing him to leave Hobbiton, and then he left and he goes, oh, well, the road goes ever on, and then walked off.
Yeah, they call that the Jerusalem effect. It's a problem when tourists come to Jerusalem. They suddenly go all freaking deep religious and believe either Jesus, Moses, or Elijah, and they have a special team of Israeli psychologists who spend their time trying to gently bring these people down from their ecclesiastical high.
Wow, that is a high I have never chased.
Just your insane wanderlust, that's all.
Yeah, no, wanderlust definitely. Ecclesiastical high is a new one.
So yes, and no more questions about New Zealand. I am a wealth of useless knowledge about it.
Do you prefer fish or fish?
Fish and chips. Oh my God, I'm craving fish and chips so much during this pandemic because I can't go back to New Zealand. So I've been trying to recreate it with limited success. Fish and chips in newspaper down by the beach, bit of malt vinegar.
I got a question for you here.
Yeah.
How can I tell an Australian from a New Zealander accent? It all sounds kind of similar to me, but there's got to be something that each nation does that's just a slight enough difference that they can tell it apart.
Well,
the Australian one's evil, right?
That's right. I was just about to say that.
I'm going to mute myself right now before I do something stupid.
Well, it's really weird because she and I had this long conversation with a South African couple.
Ask them how they feel about Midnight Oil.
And we were like, why can't Americans tell the difference? Yeah, we all sound completely different. To me, Australians sound more nasal, but then that's the typical, hold on. That's the typical Queenslander accent, is when you go up into your nose, and you also say crikey and shrimp a lot.
Also with the Australian accent is very rough.
It is.
It's rough.
And if that person's name is Bruce, you're an Australian.
G'day, Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Good to see you, Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
I do actually have some Australian cousins, but we don't talk about them.
Now, I will say this. You
The
think
black sheep of the family.
That's right, they are.
You think I'm joking about Pip and her accent getting a little thicker after she watches Hunt for the Wilderpeople? We actually had a neighbor from New. We discovered we were hanging out. Yeah, we were hanging out, and I was wearing an all black zip up jersey, and this woman was walking by, and she noticed it. She was like, "Wait, that's the New Zealand All Blacks." I said, "Yeah," and she said, "Oh my God, I didn't realize we do you follow rugby?" I said, "Well, my wife got me into it." And then Pip says something. She says, "Oh my God, you're New Zealand." She goes, "Yeah,
I am New Zealand."
Yeah, you are New Zealand.
Thank you.
She said, "Well, you're not going anywhere, right?" And we were like, "Yeah." She leaves, comes back with her husband, or I should say her then husband, and it's this guy named Dave.
Dave.
And Dave is from he's from was he
He's a
named
builder from New Zealand, from Whangarei.
from Whangarei. Hey, he's from Whangarei. And this is Dave. And Dave is, sitting in the back with us. They were having a beer and just, having a nice old time.
Eating a
And
sausage.
when Pip started Pip started the evening, Pip sounded the way she sounds now. It's like, oh, it's lovely to hear the New Zealand accent again. It's just so nice. By the time he left, that was absolutely lovely. This was a great night, Dave. Thanks for coming over. Hey, next time you come here, let's have some bosh and chops, eh?
Aye? On the deck.
On the deck. How about it sucks? And I'm just like, wow. Wow.
It does happen. But then again, when I go back to New Zealand and I sort of like talking to everybody, and the lady at the bank goes, "Oh, so I started sort of talking to her. And she goes, "Oh, so you're living in America?" And I went, "How can you tell?" And she goes, "Oh, your accent." And I'm like, "No, no." And then I just have to go and watch Hunt for the Wilderpeople on repeat.
On repeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Get
work
it out
that
of
muscle. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, New Zealand. I think New Zealanders swallow more of their vowels a little bit more. They kind of, and they talk low. They talk kind of
They do.
hardly talk at all, really.
They talk lower.
They talk low.
Yeah, I mean, when we watched the movie, we had to turn the subtitles on.
Yes,
and it wasn't for me.
Who's the hardest to okay, American.
I just had to keep turning the volume up because it was a lower pitch, and I was like, I can't hear them louder.
Sam Neill's accent, and especially Bella's accent.
Bella, yes.
Yeah, those two are like that is authentic. That, like, when you start getting out in the bush, like we went to Queenstown in the South Island, and yeah, the accent got really super thick. But Pip's BFF, lovely lady by the name of Kathy, Kathy and Ian. Those two, they've got like super thick accents. And I remember the first time I heard it, it was a little jarring. But then after I left, I found that I missed it. I missed that, and I'm like, can we go visit Kathy again? I mean,
generally speaking, the further south you get, and maybe this correlates with America.
Yeah,
the accent gets deeper and thicker.
I was going to ask if there's are regional variants or accents.
Yeah,
within New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely in the South Island they talk a little. Most of the people in the South Island are of Irish or Scots descent, so they have a slightly different, slightly thicker. Their vowels are a little different. So that's why T had. She didn't come with subtitles.
No,
but heck, I find heck is like a lot of rural, out the back kind of farming folk that really they kind of mumble about stuff and they kind of talk about the sheep, the sheep and the dogs. I had my uncle was a farmer, actually up in that area where they filmed Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and his greatest life's accomplishment was that he created a breed of sheep. He bred sheep into a perfect sheep form for carpet.
So yeah, so we actually I mentioned we watched it with the subtitles on, and I have to say, if you have not done so, at least, and if you can't make out all the lyrics of the song at the end, watching it with the subtitles on, the lyrics are all there, and they are majestical.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is one of the lyrics, actually. Majestical.
There, some of the music that you hear in New Zealand films, it's fantastic. I mean, they really have and the music scene in New Zealand, I think, is top notch. I mean, when you think of the acts that came out of New Zealand that made it big, people like Lord, and Holly Smith. I mean, it's amazing. And then you get into the New Zealand scene, and it's phenomenal. But like, one of the things I knew for a fact, though, we were going to love the television adaptation of What We Do in the Shadows, because they got the rights for the same song that they used for the film. And I said, okay, well, this is a good start. This is definitely a good start.
Yeah, but they didn't get, the funny thing is they didn't have that song made for the show. It was a song in New Zealand that just happened to say, "You're dead, you're dead."
Yeah. But and
explains the film situation before Peter Jackson.
But I would I will say this. After we had introduced our writing retreat to What We Do in the Shadows, obviously Pip followed that up with bringing a copy of Hunt for the Wilderpeople. And I really do think that I think What We Do in the Shadows is more quotable, but Hunt for the Wilderpeople had a little more impact. And I think it's because what makes Hunt for the Wilderpeople so fun was the element that I think that Pip and I know that you probably brought it up when you were talking about Jojo Rabbit, is that it really does catch you off guard. You get lulled into this sense of wonder, and okay, this is gonna be a fun little comfortable film, and then spoiler alert,
crying. Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh my god!
He's crying, and
when Sam Neill is crying over Bella, I'm like, I'm done. I can't. I'm not ready for this.
Just know something serious happened when you hear that sound. It's just heartbreaking.
But watching those two bond throughout the film, and then I think where I got the most choked up was when he goes to visit Heck at the I guess it's the halfway house,
yeah.
And Heck says, "Wait a minute," and then he does the haiku and he counts it off. I was like, no, it's too much. It's too much.
Hold on. You think that was too much, but not the emotionally devastating scene with the dog?
Yeah, the old Yeller moment.
Hold on. I watched that and I was like, holy shit, this is a movie I did not do Does the Dog Die For?
Right, yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
I have to say, New Zealanders are far more brutal about that sort of thing. In American movies, the dog.
I gotta admit,
guaranteed.
When he said you should get another dog and name it Zag, in the back of my mind I thought this is the dog equivalent of the guy who says, yeah man, 4 weeks and I'm out. 4 weeks and I'm out, man. We're good. Just got to do one more mission on LV 426. We're good, man. Just 4 more weeks and I'm out.
In 1 week.
That's how
Once I realized what was happening. And I was like, oh, no. Took off my glasses, picked up my crochet, and I'm like, wait till it's over. Wait till the next scene. Nope, not going to look at it.
But here's what Taika does.
I did not look.
Here's what Taika got me. Okay, so he introduces the Ant Mom Bella.
Yeah.
Right? And then he kills the Ant Mom Bella, and I'm like, okay, so he's already done it.
Yes.
You get one gut punch, and he just threw it.
Yeah.
And
You gotta look out for that rope-a-dope, Scott. You gotta look out for that rope-a-dope.
Yep. I knew it was coming. Like it had to have been coming. All right, I was fine with that. And then the dog. And then the dog.
But see, that is entirely realistic. Those wild boar in New Zealand are actually called Captain Cook pigs, and they're massive. And pig hunting is a big thing, and a lot of dogs.
We have feral hogs here in Missouri.
Yeah.
So there's this whole field of shit colonialism where you just leave hogs around on an island.
Hog. Although on the plus side, bacon. So I'm
well, that's what they do. Is you just let the hogs loose on the island, and if ever you want to live there, because you decide, I don't know, there's slaves or bananas or sugar cane or something useful. Well, when you get there, you can find bacon.
I'm not really for the whole assault rifle thing, but we have feral hogs here. Like, there's actually a reasonable.
There's a reason to arm yourself.
There's actually a reason to arm yourself in places here.
Yeah, I have a coworker who's a hunter, and he goes out bow hunting every year, and he's told some horror stories of coming across some of the feral hogs, and it's like I got up in the tree and I waited.
Wow.
And I just kept waiting. You don't want to mess with them, especially when all you're armed with is a bow.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing anything about that.
Well, like in the Middle Ages, hunting boar for kings would die boar hunting. So
you need like those spears are like 4 feet long and have like ridges, like serrated blades at specific points to be like, if you get it all the way, all 3 feet into the pig.
Like standing like this close to you, and it's got on a spit, and it's still going, ah.
Oh,
but then we think about it, I love the fact that Bella jumped on the bed.
Oh yeah, the first thing you see her do is just like, yep, one knife, I got this.
Massacre a boar, yeah.
And she's covered in blood.
She's excited about it too.
I know, she's covered in blood. She's going, we're going to eat great tonight.
And he just goes, poof.
Man.
During that beginning part and that boar scene, I was sitting there like, I don't know if I'm feeling this movie yet. I was like, I'm going to wait a little while long, and then I was totally sucked in.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Lena, because I had the same. I had not actually even heard of this movie until Tony messaged me what we were going to be talking about, and I did my homework and watched it today for the first time.
Me too.
And after about 15 minutes, I was like, I don't know what this movie is supposed to be about. Like, but yeah, it really it draws you in, and kind of what I think Adam was talking about was especially with Taika's movies, it seems like there's always an overwhelming surface layer of just absurdity, right? Oh, yeah. And that absurdity is intentionally there to kind of lull you in for the two punch of authentic emotion, that you're going to feel, and also some of the cynicism that he blends in there too, because the child services stuff is just raw cynicism.
Like there's Pip can probably fill in some details, but my understanding is that the Maori joke, as it were, like the authentic, essential Maori joke, is that anyone who thinks they're in charge is a moron and you should make fun of them. So, like, there's an immediate, like, his whole sense of humor is any pretension to authority must be undermined immediately. Which is why child services and the one cop with lines are just utter tossers.
So okay, so
funny with the Strogan, that shot they did in the police officers just chowing down on the Strogan. That guy's a reasonably well-known comedian in New Zealand. He's actually Samoan, I think, rather than Maori. But yeah, he.
So I'm gonna throw this out to David. So I'm gonna make the assumption you've also seen. You have also seen Jojo Rabbit, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you,
hi, Puppy.
Oh, hey, puppy. Hey, pupper. Good pupper. So David, what hit you harder?
Oh no.
Was it the shot where you knew it was coming with the dog in Hunt for the Wilderpeople, or was it that shot where you're following along with JoJo and you're seeing everybody knows what I'm goddamn talking about.
I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie, Lena? Okay, I don't want to spoil it for you.
Just say the butterfly.
The butterfly scene.
Oh yeah, we know. We all know. It's fine.
Yeah.
We all know what you're talking about.
Except for Lena.
But that's fine. We can talk around it. It's really
okay.
easy.
We'll talk
we
around
know
it.
what you're talking about.
So David, but because I totally agree with what Eric says. He draws you in. That's the talent of Taika. He draws you in because when that moment happened in Jojo Rabbit, Pip and I were just like, "The hell!" I mean, we were visibly shaken. So I got to ask you, David, what do you think? Where would you rank the dog moment with that moment?
Listen, the man. For me, it's going to be the dog. It's going to be the dog, but the man is a master,
isn't he?
It's just the shoes.
Yeah, it's just the shoes.
Just the shoes.
Just the fucking shoes.
Nothing else but the shoes, and you get every single thing out of that scene.
Every moment. Every
single thing. Like, he looks at the shoes, then he looks up, and you're like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
God damn.
And this is why I disagree when I hear people say the movie Blazing Saddles couldn't be made today. I do believe it could be made today, and it could still be made by somebody like Mel Brooks if he had the same kind of resources and approach and talent that he did in the 70s. Because when you look at Jojo Rabbit, that's a real cutting edge film. That's a real cutting edge film. And go for it, Eric. Eric.
No, I was just to me. I think what I think people are trying. What I think people in their head are thinking when they say you can't make Blazing Saddles today would be literally you couldn't make this exact movie shot for shot identically today.
That script doesn't pass. It's not.
And it's like, well, no, but that's because movies like that are intentionally a cultural artifact of the exact moment in time that they're made. It's not that time now, so you don't make that movie. You make the movie for this time and place.
Right.
Well,
you make that same impact.
You make Sorry to Bother You. You make
Black Klansman.
You make Thank You for Smoking. You make films like that, right? Yeah.
But I would compare that to the graphic novel Watchmen and the recent HBO TV series Watchmen.
Wow.
It's that the problems and the zeitgeist of the time informed Watchmen, the graphic novel,
right?
And making the TV series. Was that only last year? Jesus, it's
just last year.
5 years ago.
Just last year.
Yeah,
a decade ago last week. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I missed my birthday in quarantine last year, and it's probably going to happen again this year. But I feel like I've aged a whole lot more than from 49 to 50. Like
that's another That's another podcast for another time, Tony.
Oh, dude, we've been talking about this since we came back. I think Watchmen really shows that it's the same story. It is the same story between the movie and the TV show, but the story necessarily changed because the problems of the culture changed over those 35 years.
Or didn't change,
Well,
so there's the episode ruining the Watchmen, but there's the episode where, hi there, we are going to have this person digest an entire other person's memories, and we are just going to compound hate crimes in 1920 and hate crimes now into one single image, and that's.
But on the other hand, that episode was really fucking good.
It was really good. It was really good, and it's because it is holding up the parallels really exactly.
That series was fucking good.
That whole series was goddamn good.
That was a look. I do think Snyder did the best he could do with the 2.5 hours he was given to turn it into a film. And I didn't have any real problems with the changes that he made. But I remember after episode 3 of the Watchmen TV series, I turned to Pip and I said, this was what fans would have loved to have seen. But why? And well, I mean, Alan Moore is just being Alan Moore. I personally think
Alan Moore is not equipped to judge Alan Moore's Moore's work.
Let me tell you, I mean, the fact, I mean, Pip was there when I said, "Oh my God, they're doing the Attack on Manhattan." I was so happy about that when I saw that, and I'm like, they made it work. Holy shit, they made it work. But at the same time, I would say that yeah, the going back to where the Wilderpeople fits into all this is, I think Taika really found his. I really do feel that Taika found his groove, because he does a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about in Hunt for Blood. He does that in other films. I mean, when Peter dies, it's played for laughs, but it still kind of rocks your world when Peter dies in What We Do in the Shadows. And then when you think Stu dies, that's a lovely bonding moment between Nick and the sexy one, Pip. I'm forgetting his name. Dimitri?
Diego? No.
You know who I'm talking about. When you become a vampire, you become very sexy.
Dimitri sounds right.
But anyway, but it just seems that with every film he refines it. I feel
like he's like at peak Taika right now. He's figured out what he wants to say, and he's also figured out how he wants to do it and what are his signature moves.
Yeah, this one felt. I mean, having seen this one after Jojo Rabbit, I can almost see where he took this movie and reactions from Hunt for the Wilderpeople and made adjustments.
Yeah.
When he told Jojo Rabbit, there's a lot of similar threads that run through both movies, similar character types, and I think that with Hunt for the Wilderpeople, Bella died too soon. Because I think for the story this was telling, yes, she died exactly where she should have within this story.
Within this
story. But then he took that character, and that character is Adolf Hitler in Jojo Rabbit.
Well, the character
Jojo is like the character type.
Reliant on
Wow, Tony. Wow.
No, I'm tracking.
Bella is
what
the Adolf
means.
Hitler.
Listen, you pulled
In the best
Hitler
way
card
you
first.
can say
Look,
that.
Hitler's not going to leave you a hottie in your bed, and that's a hot water bottle before anyone's. Yes, but well, it had to happen like that because that's the instigating event. But
right, yeah, for this story, but I think he wanted more time with a character like that.
Yeah. So
and the Adolf Hitler character fulfills that ridiculous, loving, supportive, but also still ridiculous character.
Yeah. One thing I have to say, the room where he goes in, where she first gets him in there, my grandmother's room looked exactly like that. There were things I was like, oh my God, did they like pick her stuff up at the Goodwill or something? Because that looked like... And fun fact, I had a hot water bottle burst on my leg when I was 12 years old. It is not fun. So when I saw her putting the hot water bottle in there, I was like, that could go badly.
Ooh, an element of horror.
Yeah. But yeah, my computer is running down to 10% now.
Do you need to run upstairs?
I may have to hop out. Is there any more New Zealand questions before my computer decides to?
One of the things you brought up too about the really New Zealand aspect of this movie was the music, and I have to say again, having just watched it the first time today, one of the things that struck me the most was all of the musical score for it with that really, really strong synth-driven score. So a lot of those kind of sweeping, New Zealand scenes, the bush and the forest and climbing the mountain, everything else. And I don't have the context obviously for some of the musical history of film and music in New Zealand. To me, because I'm an old shit, and from America, that really heavy synth soundtrack it gave me a very late 70s, early 80s vibe to the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I said that. I was like, this is just pulling me to the 80s.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was doing. I loved it.
I think Taika does a lot of like in Boy and stuff like that. So he seems to be, he wants to write stuff that's like now and important and stuff, but there's a lot of nostalgia I feel in his stuff for like the 70s and the 80s when
look at the way Thor Ragnarok was packaged.
Oh yeah.
Thor Ragnarok had a real 80-rific kind of feel to it, and then he actually got permission to have as the opening song in Thor Ragnarok the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin. Right. So he's a bit of a Taika is a bit of a music nerd, and
the synth in Thor Ragnarok. I watched Thor Ragnarok today, just as I do every week,
as you do on a weekly rotation.
God, I miss you, David. I have missed you so goddamn much.
It's
David.
the best thing the MCU has ever produced. I'm sorry, it is. It is.
New Zealander, you've been leveled up.
Yeah, he's a master. He's brilliant.
And I mean, honestly, just look at the freaking logo alone for Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, it's a pure 80s rock ballad logo, right?
You can see that on top of a Metallica or an Iron Maiden album.
Yeah,
exactly. Like that, But no, I mean, and I think that's part of what I think Pip and I. We constantly go back to this film. We constantly go back to Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and I think what it is you really see with when you look at all four of those films back to back, even Thor Ragnarok, when you look at What We Do in the Shadows, then you look at Hunt for Wilderpeople, then you look at Thor, and then you look at Jojo Rabbit, you see Taika just refining his talent. He has a way. He not only. I think he also has a really good way of letting actors be actors, and just having what it's amazing with the amount of shenanigans that happened on the set of Ragnarok. I can only imagine how goofy it was on the set of Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
They look like they're always having a fun time.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And the fact that
JoJo. On JoJo, Sam Rockwell. I mean, come on.
Oh my God, oh my God.
I mean, Sam Rockwell's amazing, but he's just so goddamn good.
Isn't he great? It doesn't matter if it's Galaxy Quest or it's 3 Billboards in Eddington, or if it's Jojo Rabbit. Sam Rockwell is a fucking treasure, and yeah, I mean, that all of those actors were like, I get to work when they heard Jojo Rabbit, they're like, wait a minute. I'm in a movie where Adolf Hitler is a kid's. Wait, Taika Waititi is writing and directing. Fuck it, sign me up. Sign me the fuck up now. Because I know in my actors' days, I would have done the same thing. Hell, Theon was in that movie, and he rocked that shit.
Oh yes.
Yep.
Oh.
Not only that, but I think honestly, it's the first time that I really appreciated Rebel Wilson.
Oh yeah.
She was fantastic in that role, and
everyone was brilliant in that.
Yeah, and thank God they didn't rely on weight jokes with her. Like that, there was none of that. It was
she just wasn't the fat chick.
She was just a Nazi.
Right.
Yeah. Nazi. Yeah. It was great. Somebody we watched a lot of the extra features with JoJo, and it was funny because Taika said, "Yeah, I'm gonna." I told people I was gonna play Hitler. And I was like, so I decided, well, what kind of research should I do on this? How should I approach this? I was like, oh, this guy was a fucking asshole. I might as well just play it however I want to.
the fact that a Jewish Maori
Yeah.
man was playing. I mean,
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah.
it's happily
Totally
pee
metal.
on it was great.
Totally fucking
Just
metal.
pee on it.
Hitler doesn't deserve due diligence. Yeah.
100%.
But I feel like honestly that's one of the it comes out across that's one of the reasons that you get that sense that he's willing to just let the actors be themselves, do their own thing, is because he's one of those guys. I mean, anytime you see him insert himself into his own films, he's just like that too. Like in Hunt in the Wilderpeople, that ridiculous priest that he plays. I mean, he's clearly just having a blast, just being absurd.
Did you read the trivia on the movie?
No,
That's a real story.
Yeah, that's a real story of his. He went to a funeral, and that was what happened.
That was the priest.
Yeah, I could believe that.
And that's
People in the back country of New Zealand.
This is why I when people say, so if I want to I'm getting ready to go to I want to go to New Zealand, I want to experience the country, should I watch the Lord of the Rings, should I watch the I'm like, no, watch Hunt for the Wilderpeople, because it really is a true slice of Kiwiana. I mean there is, and I understand now after several trips that I've taken with my wife to New Zealand, that's just how they are. And to be honest with you, when Pip says, "Oh yeah, Sam Neill's character reminds me of my dad," I think it's more of Sam Neill reminds Pip of her dad, because Sam Neill is nothing like Pip's dad.
No,
I mean, I take great joy in this. Tony and Dave, those who have met me know that I'm a big ass hugger, and I hug her dad to make him uncomfortable. I will rock him back and forth. I'll start rubbing his back, and he'll be like, "That's enough." And, and he's a riot. He kills me. I love Pip's dad. I love Pip's dad to death.
Generally speaking, most New Zealanders are fairly reserved type people. They're big into passive aggressive behavior.
That you get in Sam Neill's character, but I mean, Sam Neill just knocks it out of the park. I mean, I've had the pleasure of watching Sam Neill in several different films, but I really think I rank Hunt for the Wilderpeople in like the top 3 of like great performances from Sam Neill. And the funny thing is, there was like a year or two after Hunt for the Wilderpeople, Sam Neill paired up with the goofy cop, with the cop eating the scroggin. They paired up in a cop drama shot in New Zealand, and it was fucking dark.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm like, Pip, you said this guy's a stand-up comedian? She's like, yeah. And I said, he's rocking the drama, dude. I mean, he was amazing. He was amazing.
You know, when the comedians turn drama, it's almost always good. Like, when Will Ferrell did all of his dramatic work, like Stranger Than Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction. I do not like Will Ferrell films, but I fucking love Stranger Than Fiction. I love that film. But yeah, go. So it's the Parade of Cats now. I see.
The Parade of Cats.
Well, what was the? I can't remember the name of it. The Jim Carrey
Everyone grab a
film
pet.
with where he's erasing his memory or whatever.
Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine. Thank you.
You know, movie in my top 5 movies of all time, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, if you're I think Hunt for the Wilderpeople, it's funny because you can tell people who've seen the movie, like when we have never seen anybody go, yeah, I couldn't get into that film. They either go, I've never seen it, or they go, oh, Hunt for the Wilderpeople, yeah, because as Eric said,
I would love to agree with you. My husband hates this movie.
Oh,
I'm interested. What does he hate about it?
So, Article 1 of the divorce.
Settled down to New Zealand for a divorce.
Where is he?
Oh,
You're
God,
in Seattle. I know he's not out tonight. Where is he?
No, he's at the other house. I'm at my boyfriend's house. Complicated. Anyway, so he did not like this movie. So he loves Ragnarok. Like I said, I made him watch Eagle versus Shark many years ago, and he loves that movie. He loves that movie.
Wow.
But
Really?
like,
I don't
Yeah.
know more people that hate that
So
movie.
Hunt for the Wilder People didn't vibe with him.
he's just like I didn't like it. It wasn't the interesting and the kind of interesting and clever that he likes in like a and all the other films. So
All right. So
fuck
fuck that guy because he's not here. What did you
I was
think
going
of
to
it?
say,
One?
one. What did you think of it?
I thought it was great. I think it's fantastic. I think it has those things that maybe he doesn't like in films, which is feelings. So
There are a lot of feelings in there, to be fair.
I don't want to feel when I watch art. I just want to look at it.
Well, I mean,
Boobs. Come on.
outrage. That's it's.
I'm sorry.
But,
One of these things I'm experiencing. Oh, it's feelings.
What a world. What a world. What a world.
Well, that is Taika's thing. I mean, if you don't like feelings, Taika uses them
Yeah.
against you a lot.
right.
I think Taika likes to push people into really weird comfort, into really uncomfortable zones, because you see that at the Oscars. When he got his Oscar, he went to take questions from people, and the press had no fucking clue what to do with him.
They were like, "Is he unhinged? Should we?"
Yeah,
be
someone went like the woman goes, and now number 42. You know, she's reading off numbers of different different journalists, and like on the third one, she went, and now next question, number 75, and then completely out of the blue, he just goes, number 75, and it's just like, how are you? And the press corps were like, what the hell do we do right now? They want this is the Oscars. It's supposed to be, and Taika just comes in there and he's like, I have no fucking clue what I'm going to do next. But hey, I won an Oscar. It's gonna be great. It's gonna look great next to my bowling trophy. And people are the press is like, oh my god.
He is not a typical New Zealander, I have to say.
Yes, he is. Don't you own your shit? You
That's
own
not
your
why I
shit,
assumed.
woman. You own your shit, woman. You own your
Yeah,
shit.
seriously. Listen, you beat the virus. I'm sorry. Like that's to me, I'm an American who lives in the Bible Belt, where Missouri is literally the last state in vaccinations in this country right now.
We're
Because
number
we can't
one.
we're number one.
Yeah.
Least vaccinated.
But realistically, you're probably going to end up being the first state to be completely vaccinated, but for everyone who wants to be vaccinated, because like the bottom 2/3 and the top third of the state just aren't going to get vaccinated. Actually, most of the middle won't either. It's going to be Kansas City and St. Louis, maybe some of Columbia, a little bit of Springfield.
But I was gonna say,
New Zealand is so nice that they actually said, we can wait for our vaccines. There are a lot of other countries that are having some real problems right now.
You get this under control.
Let them have
18 months ago,
and we'll just wait here.
I was working on emigrating 18 months ago to New Zealand.
Well, if you turn up and you say, I love Taika, I love Peter, I love Kiwis,
to give you an idea of how chill and how absolutely just wackadoodle goofy and in love the world is with New Zealand. There's a guy on Twitch. His name he goes by the name Brox.
Oh.
And his jam, the thing he does on Twitch, he does woodworking. It's gorgeous. He's doing like Maori carvings. He just puts on the radio and he's just like, yeah, bro, I'll just make it.
But the funniest thing, he's like, don't subscribe. You don't have to subscribe. I don't need your money.
I don't need your money.
I'm like, have you seen what Twitch is about?
And but here's the thing. He's like, you don't have to sub, but I appreciate you doing it there, bro. I'm just making my little wood carving here, right? This guy has got literally 1,500 people watching him in real time,
Just
and
chip
he has
away,
got
chip away.
subs coming out the wazoo.
Well, he
And
had the Prime Minister turn up.
he had the Prime Minister come up on his stream. She came in, she goes, Jacinda comes in and she goes, just wanted to pop around, say, how you doing? Well, how you doing, Mrs. Prime Minister? You're doing a great job there, right? I mean, can you do the
She
hair?
beat COVID. God damn it! She beat COVID.
And that
Just
is why
like you,
Jacinda
Minister.
Ardern is metal as fuck. And, you know, I mean,
Yeah. God damn it.
but,
She popped out a baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say she was beat COVID while nursing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I'm sorry,
I mean-
just
I'm
the
sorry,
news
Anna.
conference during the earthquake where it's like, oh yeah, 4.0. I guess we can carry on.
So wait, Pip, you told me what? So it was Jacinda Ardern's first year, and she dealt with what? Pip, you have the
her first term. Yeah, there was the terrorist attack in Christchurch. There was the White Island volcanic eruption, and then COVID. So,
And didn't she also just have a baby?
and
she just had a baby.
She just had a baby.
Just had a baby. So when Trump says, "Well, I was distracted by the impeachment hearings because of COVID," fuck you, dude. Look at New Zealand.
Women are too emotional.
New
Too
Zealand,
emotional.
women are better at multitasking, right?
You love me for my emotion, David. You love me for my emotion. Fine, constantly come back to this goddamn podcast.
She's not married to her husband. He's her partner. And nobody in New Zealand lost their mind. They were like,
And I tell you something else too. If you want to see an American have a true hard-on for New Zealand, look up Stephen Colbert. He has done some of the most heartwarming videos about New Zealand. They taught Stephen Colbert a haka.
yeah.
And it was balling.
Oh, I need to
It
see
was
that.
totally fucking balling.
He did a bit in December, which was a throwback to some stuff he did like the previous December 2019, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was watching himself, and then he goes, I just want to send a message to that Stephen Colbert. You're not going to understand this, but just stay in New Zealand. Just don't leave. You'll understand in a couple of months.
Yeah, you'll be happier.
Yeah.
Pip,
When the
Did you
aliens
ever
land,
see
we'll
that
send
one?
the New Zealanders first.
yeah. But I mean, I think it reflects quite a lot of New Zealand culture quite well. There are plenty of movies like Once Were Warriors that show the bad side.
I mean, when New Zealand wants to go dark, they go super dark. But the flip side of that, and I should probably mention this. I don't know if how many of you know about this, but it's worth searching out on the internet if you can find it. There was a spin-off TV series of What We Do in the Shadows before What We Do in the Shadows. It's called Wellington Paranormal, and it stars the two cops that show up in What We Do in the Shadows. And they come in and they go, "Hey, see this guy here? He's
not having a good time."
And they're doing like fire inspection. They did their own spin-off series, and they did it in the style of the X-Files. But it is totally slapstick humor. And our daughter could not get enough of Wellington Paranormal. She was like,
second season, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen the second season.
But do they capture the raw eroticism of Gillian Anderson?
okay, so
in general,
They talk about that.
They talk
in
about it.
general, because that woman
The
is
stupid male cop.
got
is
shit
like,
going on.
Okay, so it's basically a goofy spoof of the X-Files, but it's shot in the style of Cops. Okay, and at one point, the big doofy cop says, "Yeah, she's like Scully. I'm like Mulder. You even got the sexual tension." And the camera swings over to her, and she goes, "No, we don't." And he's constantly bringing up the sexual tension, and she's like, "No, just no."
No, we're not. The funny thing about the smaller female cop, she's actually a elementary school teacher, and she's still an elementary school teacher. So you can find her just wandering in the wild of Wellington.
And even better, though, is that the two cops from What We Do in the Shadows and Wellington Paranormal were so popular, the Wellington police reached out to them to do a series of PSAs. And there was a point where they were sitting at a traffic stop, and they said, and the camera goes into the camera goes to her, and she goes, just like a reminder that remember, as you're driving, please don't text because it's very distracting. And then a UFO hovers down and shines a light. She rolls down her window. She goes, "Oi, that light is very distracting. You knocked that off."
Get that out.
The light stops and the UFO goes away. On behalf of the Wellington Police Department, we thank you. And it's, I mean, it's total genius. And yeah, they.
I think New Zealanders do have a very odd sense of humor.
It's dry. It's
very
dry.
dry.
And prickly.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys seen The Casketeers?
I
It was on.
heard of that.
I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It was on Netflix. It was 2018, 2019, and it was.
Oh my god, that
I
looks
well to remember
amazing.
the name of it. It was a Maori couple who ran a funeral home, and it was a reality show.
Oh my god!
Oh, I should have to look that up.
Now,
Looks so much fun.
actually, one that Pip really, and I'm gonna turn it over to Pip again. You should tell this
Sorry, I
fine
found New
assembly.
Zealand content. Shh.
Right, but there's another one. There's another one baby called the Almighty Johnsons. You should tell them
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
Almighty Johnson is a good one. Yeah, that's there's some. I mean, New
And
Zealand.
the thing is, I think the thing you notice is that with Taika, Taika being the next Peter Jackson, if you will, Taika and Peter Jackson have really upped the level. They actually call it Wellywood now. They call Wellington Wellywood, and they built into the side. They built into the side of one of the mountains in New Zealand a mock Hollywood sign, but it says Wellywood. And because Wellington has known for its massive gusts of wind and everything, the last few letters are kind of flying away with the breeze. And I personally love the fact that I've through Pip, before Pip and I became a thing. All I knew of Wellington, all I knew of New Zealand was the Lord of the Rings films, the original trilogy, and then through Pip. She introduced me to the All Blacks. She introduced me to the films of Taika, and then
trolls.
What? Sorry, what was that?
Lots of trolls.
Lots of trolls. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said sausage rolls.
And then and then it's just what I think is really cool though is watching how Taika and Peter Jackson collectively have really opened up and shown parts of New Zealand that people didn't know were there. And it's I think that part of what makes this film so important, what makes Hunt for the Wilderpeople such a terrific film, is its heart. And I think that's something you see in all of Taika's films. They even the one I don't like, Eagle versus Shark, there's a heart there. I just don't understand what it's
so
doing.
good.
It dials up the awkward that you don't like quite so much.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
awkward, and it's just awkward people, and they're just like me, and it's fantastic. By the way, I was just gonna say my battery's about to die, so I gotta cut out now. So
Thanks for coming, Jolie. It's great seeing you again. Hopefully, we'll get to see you at an Archon when we can have one again.
There will be meetings again.
In the after times.
I love living in Seattle. The weather here is fucking fantastic, but I gotta get out of here, man.
As soon as you get that sweet vaccine, you know where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I'm coming back. So I will see you all again in the future.
Cool.
Can't wait.
Bye.
Great seeing you. Thanks for
Bye,
coming.
everyone.
Bye.
I was
Who knows? Maybe we'll get somebody else now that somebody drops.
I just wanted to point out that New Zealand, I know Australians have been taking over American television, but I'd like to point out that New Zealanders have been making a move, like in The Boys, where the two main characters, who one is supposedly British and one is supposedly American, are both New Zealanders.
Yeah.
So I think...
And interesting trivia about that Pip and I found out about Anthony Starr and Carl Urban. They had never worked together until The Boys.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like New Zealand film was a big television or film was a big industry. And and yet they didn't bump into each other. And now they're like, oh yeah, we get together, we watch the All Blacks together. Yeah, it's great times.
That's not actually exciting. That's not actually that surprising to me because like Carl Urban does like after Lord of the Rings, he did a bunch of American shit.
He
Right?
did.
Like he did
But, I mean,
Riddick, and he did
early
Almost
on-
Human.
But see, they're not that dissimilar in age, but Anthony Starr was doing like our version of Young and the Restless called Shortland Street, and Carl Urban was bathing in milk baths. There was a movie called Milk, where he was a farmer and he's out in the wilderness with one of those cast iron baths.
Honey,
Him and some milk. I'm just saying.
Is this a fantasy? Was this a dream?
No.
honey. We got to worry about terms of service now. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're straying to some dark
I'm just
territory.
saying.
I gotta go and watch something else on TV on my run now.
I was gonna say every person on this feed just added something to their to-do list.
It's literally called.
That's probably going to be an upcoming backseat producers, just so you know.
But you might have to search for milk.
If the next Judge Dredd movie only featured Carl Urban, I'm 100% in for that.
No.
He was so goddamn good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He was so good.
To me, that is my nerdy dystopian Die Hard now. If I see that on, I'm like, don't talk to me. Dread's on.
Yeah.
Dread's on.
We went to the same
It's so
university,
good.
him and me.
And yeah,
I don't think I saw him at the gatherings, but
but I will say Pip's still got the the steam and undies for Carl Urban, particularly in season 2 of The Boys. Particularly in season 2 of The Boys when he says when he just says "Daddy's home." I'm just like, Pip, you want me to get you a drink? Because I mean.
So wait a minute, T. I think you've got a little bit of a misnomer here. Who on this feed doesn't have steaming undies for Carl Urban?
Okay.
I mean,
I'll admit when he said "Daddy's home," I might have popped a boner. I might have popped a man boner for Carl Urban. Okay,
Listen, he's got the range. Like if you don't like him in like modern superhero killer, you can always fall back on Eomir of Rohan.
Well, that's
like,
the thing.
He's a horse lord.
And on top of all that, when there's a delightful YouTube clip, and I can't remember if it was GQ. Somebody was interviewing him, and he has gotten away with a lot of props from the film.
he's stolen a lot of stuff.
He's stolen a lot of stuff, and
The helmet. He took his sword from Emma. Yeah,
Wouldn't you? I mean, come on.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! But like he's got a little something from it. He got like one of his badges from Dread. I mean, he's got like a little collection of stuff. And when you hear him talk about it, you're just like, wow, he is nerding out really hard.
Yes.
But no, he's
you can really tell when someone is there for the paycheck and someone really loves the work they're doing.
Yeah.
Like it always feels that way with Carl Urban. Like it always feels like he's just really having a joyous time with what he's doing.
God damn it, Tony! Look for his coming on the light of the third day.
I just realized by looking at how old he is and how old I am, we're the same age. He was at Victoria University with me. I'm going to have to readjust my entire. Like, what the hell was I
know. Look, I know.
Where was I?
I you know what? Knowing you, honey, considering some of the stories you've told me about your college days, wouldn't surprise me at all if you might have gotten a little, one too many.
Oh,
and there you are with your arm around. You know something? You've got a face. You're cute.
Movies.
You could be in movies. God, you're hot.
You've got a face for being a horse lord.
And he was like,
have you ever thought about defending Helm's Deep?
I bet you're so.
I put one of those popcorn buckets on his head, and I go, "Oh my god, you can act from this bit." You should totally just find something
What do you know about the Rohirrim?
And but the thing is, the thing about Carl Urban, I really wish someone would just get a photo. Someone had to have taken a photograph of it. But there was this Hollywood legend apparently that in between takes on the set of Riddick, it was Vin Diesel, Carl Urban and Dame Judi Dench, and it was Vin Diesel and Carl Urban teaching Dame Judi Dench how to play D&D.
Oh.
And if that is true, someone had to have taken a photograph of Judi Dench rolling a natural 20. I would pay big ass money for somebody who had a photograph of that. Because
you know why she decided to try and play D&D? Because she was in a room with Carl Urban, and she's like, "I can do whatever you like."
True.
Come on.
Between him and Daniel Craig, come on. I mean, you're right. You're right.
And of course, he dated Katie Sackhoff for a long time. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Nerd cred.
That's definitely nerd cred.
I was about to say him and Taika have never been, but then I was like,
no. This is Des and Troy. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, they're letting. It was when Carl Urban was working the shake weight. When he was working the shake weight, I just went, I'm done. I'm so fucking done. I love this goddamn movie. I'm so fucking done.
Well, if you're going to steal things from Earth, a shake weight would be one of the top things to take.
Somebody on somebody on YouTube has probably got a looped video of him doing the shake weight for like 8 hours.
Like there's a lot of realms out there. But, when you hit Midgar, you got to take the best, and that's
exactly
shake weights and M16s, I guess.
It was the fact that he was rocking with it. He was just rocking with it. And I just could say, okay, now this is I can just hear Taika on the set going, okay, Kyle, this is where you'll work the shake weight. Let's go. All right. I'll be here in the back if you need me.
God damn, it was so good. The movie is so good. I saw Ragnarok on a Thursday night after I went to go see Jackson Galaxy at a cat seminar. I left there. I went to go see Ragnarok just because I knew Tony was going to want to talk about it. And I shit you not, I walked in there and I was like, fuck, I don't want to talk about another Thor movie. And when I left the theater, 45 seconds after the movie ended, I texted my friends and I was like, we're going to see Thor Ragnarok tomorrow. Tomorrow. We went to see the movie. We watched it, and they were like, this is one of the funniest movies we've ever fucking seen. Anna, the next day, we're like, fuck, do you guys want to take Anna to see Thor Ragnarok? I saw it 3 times in 3 days.
Wow.
He started messaging me Saturday morning. Tony, when are we going to talk about this movie? We're scheduled to talk about it this week. When are we going to talk about this movie? I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. We've got tickets for it for tomorrow. When are we going to talk about this?
I mean,
that sounds like me drunk, but yeah.
To give you an idea,
well,
Dave, to give you an idea of how powerful Thor Ragnarok was, Chuck Wendig, I think it was his first ever podcast. It was Chuck Wendig and another comic book artist. I can't remember his name. The two of them did a podcast called Chuck and whatever his name was, like Chuck and Dave. Chuck and Dave talk about Thor Ragnarok. And it was a 5-minute podcast, and they started from the beginning of the movie, and every 5 minutes of the podcast corroborated with 5 minutes of the movie. And they talked about those 5 minutes for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It was like the ultimate, and I'm sitting there going, if it was anybody else, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, it's Chuck Wendig. I'll roll with it.
That sounds even more in depth than, I don't know, Taika would be about it.
It sounds like, I don't know, Pip. It sounds like 2 hack authors would show up on a movie podcast and stay on there for 3.5 hours.
Oh,
I don't know what the fuck. You know what I'm saying?
So,
well, yeah.
So
who would do that?
For anybody who hasn't listened,
the chain spinning is just so
how
funny.
There was probably.
Wait, I'm coming around. I'm
not doing this on purpose. It's just the perfect amount.
Chris Hemsworth, a comic genius.
So
Anyway.
so there was 6 months that we were on the podcast for at least 6 months after Thor Ragnarok, that anytime the movie we were discussing for that particular episode got boring, or somebody, David, didn't want to talk about it, can we just talk about Thor Ragnarok again?
You know what?
And we did. There were 3 or 4 episodes in a row that we did.
You know what? You know how I think Back to the Future is a perfect movie? Thor Ragnarok's a second perfect movie.
Right, so Dave, where does it, like, in your top 5? Or
I mean, we're talking about AFI. I mean, it's like, some people would say Goodfellas is one of the greatest movies ever made, or Citizen Kane, or Maltese Falcon. Fuck you, it's Thor Ragnarok.
So here's the thing. So the local indie theater around here did these midnight movies.
Times.
Right? And so every week they would have a midnight movie on Friday and Saturday, and you can go in. They were all always like classic movies.
Right.
So one week, the classic movie at midnight was Shawshank Redemption. Okay? Which Shawshank Redemption is an incredible movie. All right? So I was like, Anna, I'm going to go see Shawshank Redemption at the midnight movie. She's like, oh, I've never seen it. And I was like, oh, okay, you should come with me. You've never seen it? It's an amazing movie. Okay, but at midnight, when you start Shawshank Redemption, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning when you finish Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And it feels like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that movie is glacial.
Yeah.
That's not the setting to watch Shawshank.
It was, yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, if you want to talk about classic movies, my wife and I, we've been trying to challenge our daughter in introducing different movies to her. And there was one day I came home and I said, "Hun, the local Alamo Draft House is doing a 4K restored edition of Lawrence of Arabia." Ooh. And it's on the big screen. It's on their biggest screen. And Pip said, "Why are you talking? Get tickets." And we got tickets.
Correct response. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, big enough that you can see the heat deform the middle of the frame.
Pretty much. And we got to the Alamo Draft House, I want to say at noon. And we left at 5. The sun was setting when we left this. And it was totally metal. But it was really funny because our daughters were, and again, it's Lawrence of Arabia. It's not a light watch.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't imagine Shawshank Redemption as a midnight showing. That's a challenge.
It is. The movie is so good, but
it worked. I felt like it worked.
Well, there you go.
Especially like at a especially, I mean, like I feel the same way about like Lawrence of Arabia. I'd love to see that on a big screen, but like to take a full, especially on a bigger screen where there's like nothing else and it's dark. I think it would be harder to do at home.
Mm-hmm.
But where it sort of takes you in, I felt like it worked really well. I loved it.
Now I'm missing screens and popcorn.
I know. I really miss movies.
I love that stuff on the floor your shoes get stuck to.
What is that? You don't know. Don't look down.
Don't want to know.
I miss it so bad right now.
A couple of years ago, I moved into an apartment right behind a movie theater. And it was like, when the movie theater is in walking distance, you see a lot of fucking movies.
You do. You do.
Yeah, because, it's 9 o'clock. The movie starts at 9:10. It's a Tuesday.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Like, what the fuck else are we going to do, right? You see a lot of goddamn movies, and I haven't seen a movie in the theater in 18 months.
I think the last movie. What was the last movie we saw in theaters?
I think we saw
That's right.
At the movie.
That was the last one we saw. Was Birds of Prey, the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, and it was great.
That movie was a lot better than it should have been.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, a lot better than the first one.
It was, but looking back on it, it's even better because it was in the movie theaters.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah,
way better than Wonder Woman 84.
When I saw it in
boy.
Wonder Woman was rough, man. It was rough.
When our daughter said, wow, I'm glad that's done.
Well, I remember there was a film.
We couldn't get her out of the theater with the original one.
Yeah.
But this one, she was just like, wow, I'm glad that's done.
But I heard this theory, and since you guys are all experts, maybe you'd like to chime in. I heard this person talking, a movie critic. He said that he reckons that the movie theaters are dumping all of the movies that they kind of thought probably wouldn't do very well anyway, and maybe aren't that good, that they're dumping them now on video on demand and saving all the stuff for when movie theaters reopen.
I think there's probably some truth to that, especially looking at how Disney is still holding on to Black Widow, but they've released Mulan. You know, they released Soul, which Soul is actually really good.
We loved Soul.
We watched Soul and Wonder Woman back to back on Christmas Day. Like,
which one did you watch first?
Wonder Woman, because
that was probably the right way to watch it.
It was because that was the one we were expecting. You know, this is part of a bigger story, so let's watch that one first. Soul is standalone. It doesn't rely on anything else. Soul was an amazing movie.
It was.
I don't want
really
to derail your
enjoyed
conversation, Tony, but did you see the thing where Ted Cruz posted on Twitter about how Pedro Pascal sucked in Wonder Woman? And Pedro Pascal replied with Ted Cruz's phone number, and he's like, "Hey, if you think Ted Cruz is wrong, just call him."
Wow. Wow.
Pedro Pascal was actually a hell of a lot of fun to watch in Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
but that movie was still a train wreck.
He was fine for his script.
Yeah.
Just like,
I mean, there wasn't a lot to work with.
But here's my
exactly 100%. Yeah, exactly.
But here's my thing about, when people say, well, there's certain when people say, well, you need to see this in the big screen. You need to see. I don't think you necessarily need to see it on the big screen. Pip and I watched. We just did a recent rewatch with the daughter of Snowpiercer, which we have never seen on the big screen. We've only seen it on our big flat screen TV at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie, you see where I'm going with this, Anna. I see you nodding your head. It's a brilliant film.
It's amazing. Although I would also have liked to seen it on. I regret not having gone to see it, because I remember thinking when I saw it that would be good to see on a big screen. And we did that like a few weeks ago. We didn't do that.
We talked about it.
We talked about it because we saw Parasite. Yeah, so that week we saw Parasite. I decided I needed to see like as many of this guy's movies as I could. So that's when I saw Snowpiercer, and I remember loving it, being completely, which I'm rarely completely taken in by a movie, and that was definitely. But I also wish I'd seen it.
I'll tell you this, Anna. Then I'll tell you this flat out: if you enjoyed the film, you need to get caught up with and watch the series.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is good.
I mean, hold on. Aside from Jennifer Connelly, because
okay, well,
come on.
I can't speak. I cannot speak objectively about anything that Jennifer Connelly. So I'm going to tap on this conversation.
I know you.
Jennifer Connelly and I are about as close to the same age as you can get. So
Tony,
when I talk about things like Legend.
City.
When I talk about her in Legend, it's not being a creepy old man. No, I was a creepy teenager.
She was in Labyrinth. That was me as Sarah, who was in
Legend. I'm sorry. You're right.
Labyrinth.
For me, what you may not understand is that Illinois has made certain substances legal. It's mostly alcohol. I've been drinking a lot of it.
That's okay. But there are other things. Here's the thing, Tony. Jennifer Connelly broke my heart in Rocketeer, and has continued to break my heart since then. And she has aged like fine scotch, in my opinion.
And she's really good in the series.
And she is phenomenal in the series. But then you got David Diggs thrown in there because David Diggs. And spoiler alert, Sean Bean shows up in season 2 as Wilford.
I haven't started season 2 yet. Yeah, we started just watching everything we could and stopped watching anything on our DVR. So we for whatever weird reason, so we actually still have like 5 episodes of the last season to watch.
Well, like I
just
said,
sitting there. We're gonna get to them.
If you enjoyed Snowpiercer the film, you're gonna love the series then, because
Okay.
I really did that. But
you don't need to watch one or the other to
right.
You know,
But the point I was getting at was that we saw Snowpiercer on the small screen. We saw Ex Machina on the small screen. I mean, we've in my opinion, yes, the big screen does make it even larger than life, sure. But if it's a really good film, it'll hold up on the small screen.
Yeah, but there are some things like Lawrence of Arabia. You want to see the like.
Yeah, but I saw.
Yeah, but here's the thing for me: it's not a matter of the venue; it's a matter of discipline. In the movie theater, I have the phone in my pocket, and I never bring it out. In my living room,
you get
things are
distracted.
a little different. Yeah, things are a little different. You know, even if it's a movie I'm super engaged in, like, you know, listen, I'm hilarious on Facebook. I want to see when people acknowledge I'm hilarious on Facebook. I'm not going to apologize for that. They know I'm hilarious, right?
I've got politicians to yell at on Twitter. This stuff doesn't take care of itself.
Okay.
I know a state representative. I mean, I'm a big deal in this state.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think, you know, as everyone just here has said, we all miss going to the movie theaters.
It's the experience
going on, but yeah, you know, in a way, it's you know, you don't want to go see a bad movie, but it's less about the quality of the movie overall than just the experience of being in the theater. And then when you combine the visceral experience of being in a theater, the darkness that surrounds you, the focus, with a truly impressive movie experience, that's when it comes together. Like my all-time media memory of any kind was on the night before the official release night for The Return of the King. I and my sister got tickets to our local Ronnie's Theater, which is just a normal theater, you know, nothing special about the screen. But they did the extended edition of Fellowship of the Ring, 15-minute intermission, the extended edition of the 2 hours, 15 intermission, and then the first screening of Return of the King. And it was, I mean, we spent, you know, whatever, 12 hours in the theater, but it was such an experience.
It's a level of emotion, that you can't duplicate otherwise. And just, sorry, yeah.
Okay, so one second, I want to interrupt because I want to give this person just a little bit of an introduction. This is we're having somebody else join the stream in just a moment. This person made his introduction to the podcast as the first and primary booster seat producer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Holden Mast.
Oh my God!
Facial hair.
Hey.
God damn it, Holden! Stop aging.
I'm really trying.
That's a lot of facial hair for a 10-year-old. Wow.
Wow.
Maybe add 8 to that.
Oh, dear.
Last time I saw you, Holden, you were a blossoming young man, passing through in Richmond, Virginia, and we were all enjoying a good old fashioned.
That was yesterday, right?
That was yesterday. That was yesterday. Too funny, Holden. How you doing, buddy?
Crazy to think.
So, I mean, you know, we've been talking about a lot of stuff. We've just recently been talking about missing the theater, and one of the things I didn't mention was in our household we've recently enacted movie nights and game nights, but specifically with the rule that cell phones get put away.
Yeah.
For both of them, unless we're playing a game like we play like the Jackbox games, or you need a screen to play them.
Right.
What you need the phone for.
But yeah, we've put the devices away. We're gonna sit at the table and play games as a family. Devices away. We're gonna sit and watch a movie. Devices away. in the dark unless somebody's trying to eat food.
But do you spill soda on the floor to get that authentic?
Yeah,
experience?
100%.
The authentic stick.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't hurt that we also our television in our living room started going out, and we haven't been spending money on doing things or gas. Because Julie and I, neither of us have been to our offices. I can't say that. I have not been to my office since March. Both of us are still working. Julie went back to her office once to clear out her office because the owner of her building decided to convert empty offices to a hair salon or something. So they didn't want
Wow, that's just exactly how you should recoup money right now.
Yeah. So
my hair is very long.
So is mine. Like you can see it on the podcast, which is really unusual.
It's very long.
Comparable, really, the two of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Very long.
It's about the same.
I just want a haircut.
Yeah, so she went and cleared out her office one weekend just so her the trinkets she had in her office wouldn't smell of hair chemicals. That's the only time she's been back to her office since March.
Wow.
So we decided to splurge, and we now have a 75-inch television in our living room, which for family movie night is like it's pretty damn close to go to a theater.
Yeah.
Turn off the lights. Get rid of them phones.
Yep.
I mean, some of my favorite memories from college. Well, I remember one time a buddy of mine was visiting my college campus, and we, it happened to be the same weekend that my college was doing a Star Trek movie marathon, and they had all 6 films. So what we did was that we basically smuggled in a couple of 6-packs, and we were just popping brewskis, and we started with Star Trek: The Motion Picture. We we sat through all Star Trek: The Motion Pictures all the way through number 4. When it got to 5, we hung on to
like 100 hours.
then we hung on to our stubs. We left for 5 to grab some food and more beer, and then we got back into the theater. We watched the end of 5, as painful as it was, and then we made it through 6. And those are the
Wait a minute. Made it through 6.
No, we made it through because we had
Undiscovered Country is
no.
Oh Lord, there we go.
I'm saying we made it through 6 because it had been a long day of movies. That's the only thing I'm saying.
All right.
I thought the Dave and
we also have been drinking quite a bit. We'd also been drinking quite a bit.
Undiscovered Country is
no. That's magic.
All right. Okay.
Second best Trek. I mean, yeah.
I mean, look. I mean, if we want to talk about the greatest Trek film that was ever made, let's talk about Galaxy Quest. But that's beside the point.
That is true. I've never been.
Yeah, all right.
I just realized that's.
But yeah, I mean, when we started going as a family to the Marvel films, and we started to share that experience with Sunny. I mean, we just. There's something about it's great having a movie night, but there is something about the movie experience. But I don't agree with this sort of thing. Like, well, it's a great movie and you have to be in the theater. I'm like, that is not necessarily the case. I have seen plenty of great films on small screens.
But on the plus side, when we do get back to go to movie theaters, it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be phenomenal.
We're going to be like, inhale all that weird butter.
That is absolutely the case. I just think that a lot of you have to see it on the big screen, like rah about that has to do with the circumstances that you can replicate in your house. Like, number one is you have to put your phone somewhere else. Because that's like the biggest thing that the big screen gives me is not the environment, it's not the screen, it's not the surround sound, it's I can't use my phone for 2 hours, and that's the expectation.
But that's hard to do without social pressure. Because I remember, especially like when I was, because I'm thinking about it, like when I say I want to see things on the big screen, it also has to do with the visuals. But I think about some of my like really intense immersive experiences, and I think about like the first year of grad school, like some friends, we would get together every other Sunday, and we'd pick a director and then watch like about 12 hours of stuff. And yeah, just like settle in, and we didn't look at phones because we were all together, you know. And it's almost like this unspoken social thing, and then
Wait,
we were
what
like
year
all
was this?
piled on the floor, so it was hard to get up, you know. And like,
Hold on. What year was this?
this was 2005 through 7.
Okay, and what year did you get a cell phone for the
Oh,
first
that's
time?
true. Yeah, I didn't have a smartphone until 2010. That is also true.
So,
But like also,
Touche,
part of
Mr.
why
Bond.
we didn't do
Touche.
that at home was like, I mean, also not everyone owned a television, but like,
I know your heart.
but you couldn't get up. Like, I mean, you just can't get up and be distracted, and yeah, I mean, there's the social pressure piece.
Yeah,
which is hard. Like at this specific moment, I feel like living alone.
I actually don't feel at this specific moment is true, just because, you know, when I get a vaccine and a bunch of my friends get a vaccine and we watch a movie again together for holy shit the first time in fucking
2 years.
in
2
18
years. Yeah.
months.
Oh yeah,
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's gonna be
Yeah, I have a feeling that the first time it's going to be like when we all have vaccines and we're just going to literally go to the theater together, then all go to whoever's house is closest with microphones and record a podcast. Just that experience is going to be so unique.
Does everybody remember this softcore porn we just watched?
just like randomly, I'm like worried about myself that I'll like randomly like revel somewhere.
Well, no. There was a tweet that Pip and I saw where a guy said that first night when we all head out and we go to a movie theater and we suddenly appreciate something that we haven't had in over a year's time.
Oh my
and
god!
We'll suddenly realize how lucky we've been and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it'll be like you know, doing that like a bungee jump. We'll be like, hug everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just you know, I told Pip, I said I'm not sure about heading out to other cons, but I know for a fact I just want to have cookouts. I just want to open. Just throw it on Facebook. Hey, I'm having a cookout. Bring some food. I'll throw it on the grill. I'm smoking a brisket. Come on over.
Yeah,
and then
one of the things that I'm missing the hardest is game nights. We would have those occasionally, and we'd have them over here at this house. We got a nice big table. The kitchen's right there. Grill's right outside the door. You know,
it's some shit go out. Tony would throw it on the grill. He'd cook it. We'd play some fucking games forever. Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, just being able to do that. Just at one of T's brisket sessions, I suspect silence will be a hard thing to find. Well, there is that. Yeah. I mean,
truth, Sam.
But yeah, I mean, it's just it's those things that I think we're all going to appreciate, and I know from my own personal thing, it's not even you know, catching something on the big screen. I mean, you know, my thoughts about, well, how do you feel about, you know, No Time to Die being pushed back a few years? I mean, pushed back a few months again, or being maybe even pushed back again to 2022. I'm like, look, I'll see it. See it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see Black Widow. I mean, it was funny too, because I remember one time when we saw the trailer for the new Dune. I remember Pip said, "Would we risk our lives to watch Dune?"
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, you don't want to go for like Tenet. I mean,
yeah.
God damn it, T! Fear is the mind killer.
I cannot wait to see
allow
Dune.
Corona to pass through you.
I cannot wait to see it.
I know, and but then I thought, but as we were getting closer and closer, and people were getting dumber and dumber with the way they were handling Corona, I was just like, I think we might have to wait. And then of course they say, yeah, we're gonna wait, we're gonna wait a little longer, and I'm like, you know what, fine. There are, I was not willing to take that risk for Dune. I'm sorry, I wasn't willing to take that risk for Tenet. I might take that risk for Black Widow. Dune, I would take that risk, but at the same time, I don't want there to be a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to be able to go to the theater, have a beer or have a big ass cherry Coke and my
extra greasy popcorn.
Yeah, have my chocolate
overpriced candy,
my overpriced chocolate dipped cookie dough bites, and I'm just gonna sit back and I'm just gonna watch Paul Atreides become Muad'Dib. I mean, that's and I just want to relax and let that wash over me. And
must flow.
The spice must flow, motherfucker. And
but the Corona may not flow.
I'd rather not flown in.
Preferably.
And
spice.
But the spice, baby, I'm
Spice,
talking spice baby, yeah, and it's, but it's just, and hey, look, if the movie is scored as well as that friggin' trailer was, then I'm like, I am in, baby. But yeah, I mean, I want to hang on to that little moment of optimism that I think that one of the things that we're going to walk away from in this at the end of coronavirus is that we have an appreciation of these little things. I mean, and I get it. I get it that people are getting stir crazy. I get it that you get these deniers. I get it. You get these COVIDiots that are like, I just want burp, burp, burp. And I'm sitting there going, that's great.
I told T this is
I
what
want a pony. But you know what?
I told T this is what it's like. It's like in the movie when you're in the army and the guy goes, I got 2 weeks and I'm going home.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Just stick it out.
I'm getting short, man. I'm getting short.
Yeah.
I
want
to do stuff.
But I really do think that when we emerge on the other side of this, it's going to be a brand new appreciation, and
things.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Meanwhile, Taika is making another Thor movie just for Dave. I've heard that.
Oh, just for David.
Listen, in my heart, that's the story I've told myself.
Like, you can't disappoint Dave.
Yeah, no, it's just for me.
It's actually going to be a dedication.
I was going to say, when the credit starts rolling, it's just going to say,
for
you, Dave.
Special thanks to Dave.
Here's the thing. I don't even need that. In my heart, I already know it's for me. I don't need the text.
But you know what? Dave is going to jizz like a porn star. If at one point Taika, does a Canadian cross across the screen, and he just stops and he does this on the screen. We all know that's going to be for Dave. That's going to be for Dave.
He's going to be aiming at that spot on the screen.
Yeah,
you know what? I'll video it. Listen, I'll shoot ropes.
Oh my gosh, 16 minutes to go. It's getting late.
Oh my God, my face hurts again.
Welcome to the podcast, kids.
If I may throw in something here on the experience of the movies here, there's about 3 movies I've really enjoyed. It's just as a total experience, and that opened when we first Star Wars movie came out. I saw it at the Creve Court Theater in one of the few 70mm theaters. Me and my dad went to it, and that first opening scene totally thwacked both of us. And my dad's a guy who was spent most of his life building rockets and launching space stations and stuff like that. Like, we both came out of that movie like, oh my God, this is the space opera I've been waiting 50 years for to see on the screen. And that experience, between the wide field scene, the sound, and everything else, you just can't replicate that on on even the best home theater system. They're just it just loses something in that translation.
Yeah.
Also, another one was the first Aliens movie. When I saw that in '82, I came out of the theater I had an umbrella. It was raining that night. I had an umbrella with me. And after the end of the movie, I picked up my umbrella and I had unconsciously bent it into a U shape, just from the tension that movie created. Needless to say, I got kind of damp walking back to the car. But that movie immersed so much into the way it was presented, the sound and everything else. You just unconsciously, the tension just went through you. And another one was Das Boot.
I was just kind of damp during the movie.
Yeah, that was a movie. Now these guys really played with the soundtrack and the sound special effects so well that every time you heard that click click of the depth charge, you knew the boom was going to go off, but you unconsciously just tightened up. And I came out of that movie, all my shoulders were so sore. I felt like I had been through that depth charging, and I was just completely emotionally exhausted because, again, I just fell into the whole experience of it.
I only have one experience, Daryl, that mirrors that, and that's coming out of seeing Inception for the first time in the theater. Because the way that the theater did it was as soon as they cut away from the top, they faded the lights in as credits rolled. So someone had either seen it before and read the notes, or was very perceptive. And so all of a sudden it was waking from the dream, right? And so, I mean, I'll talk for hours about that movie, but that's the only thing where like it hasn't ever been the same. Even seeing it again in the theater it's better than seeing it at home for me because it's that environment.
Mine is definitely the first Matrix movie. My friend, his company had rented out the entire movie theater for the company, and he invited, I think, about 3 of us along. We were all went to university together. And the lights came up and we just sat there going, what was that? I love it. But what was that? And that's the essence of the movie experience to me, is that kind of
when you find that movie that's transformative, right? Like I have not seen or felt anything like that before in my life.
Yeah.
Hey, I've never been mainstream indoctrinated into a trans story before. I don't know what this means, and I won't know what this means for like 10 years until the Wachowskis are like, this was a trans story. Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Well,
we as the public don't quite get it. Okay, fine. I'll do a TV show on Netflix that'll spell it out for you.
I'm going to partner with J. Michael Straczynski, and we're gonna lay it out for you.
So if you watch Sense8 and you love it, you go back and watch Matrix and you think about trans people. Oh, all right, cool. Like,
I love Sense8.
Any reason to go back and watch the original Matrix? Which they only made one Matrix film.
So here's the thing about Sense8. So I love it. The narrative storytelling is fucking garbage. It's terrible. Yeah. It's awful. But the emotional storytelling is so fucking good.
Yeah. I can agree with that for season 1. Season 2, I didn't feel it. Not the same way I felt season 1.
Season 2 felt like they were Netflix told them, hey, your stories don't make sense.
Make them make more sense.
Make more sense. And the Wachowskis are like, yeah, but you know how you felt during season 1? Like that's actually what we wanted. we wanted you to feel things during season 1, and the story, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but it makes you feel the things we want you to feel. But in season 2, Netflix is like, oh, well, you should make the story make sense. And they're like, yeah, we're not as good at that.
That's not happening.
That's not high on the list.
Leave it open to interpretation.
So I've got.
We're the team that made Speed Racer. Are you sure sense is what you want us to do?
I want 2 bears.
We got to get something for the podcasters to work
bearded
with.
bears sharing an ice cream cone, and that's what I fucking want. I want ice cream and beards and 2 dudes who are really into each other. That's all I fucking want from life.
So I was going to say I've got 2 things real quick. One, Lena mentioned earlier a Netflix TV series, and I looked it up. It's just been sitting in another tab of my browser just because I looked it up. It's called The Casketeers.
Yes, I put it on my list.
So
I'd be very curious
required to watch everything from New Zealand.
I'm curious to know what you think about it. I loved those people, and just
I feel like I should have a New Zealand alert, like something happened. I need to find out.
It's escaped.
Light up the New Zealand signal.
I do have to tell you one funny thing that an American told me about New Zealand once. My first trip to New Zealand, my first trip from New Zealand to America, my friend met me. She was a librarian. She took me into her library and introduced me to all these librarian people who you would think would be reasonably educated.
Is this an erotica a la carte intro?
I did. But she was like, "Oh, New Zealand," and she pulled up Google Maps. This was like 10 years ago, and she looked at it, and she sees the shape of the country, and she says, "What are you doing? What do you do when you're floating out there?" I said, "Well, we have an anchor down, so we don't actually float." She was serious that we were like floating around like a little yacht or something.
Like a
the next question is, how do you keep it from capsizing?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So the second thing was going to be, I think my experience with a film that still stands out, and it wasn't so much the film itself. Looking back, at the time, it really was. For me, it was Batman '89. So I had just graduated high school.
Jesus Christ, Tony.
Well, I had just graduated high school. I was in a car accident shortly, like weeks after graduating.
Is this after they developed paper? Or
yeah. We got to they printed the book and we just flipped the pages and that's how we saw the movie.
Yeah.
Ow.
The firelights you just hit. This is discovered.
Yeah. So
hey, Plato, was this all shadow on the cave wall? Or
I mean, I think I was on my big wheel when I saw Tony crash his car.
You guys keep talking. I got a few years on Tony.
Yeah.
So you keep talking, you young fuckers. You keep talking.
Well, and Daryl's got a few years on all of us. So.
I know. I'm so happy. I'm happy not to be the oldest one here. Thank you, Daryl.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'm in the younger half.
Yeah.
So bookending the whole series.
Yeah. So I couldn't work because my knees were jacked up. They wouldn't let me go to work. Some friends and I wanted to see it. We saw it. We went opening night because there was none of this midnight movie bullshit.
Hey, what movie was this?
This was Batman '89. And it was also Friday nights. That's when the movies aired. They didn't show them early.
No.
They did not show them in the afternoon. It was Friday night. Like the 7 o'clock was when you started seeing the new releases.
Yep.
So because I was the one guy in our friend group that couldn't work, one of my friends picked me up at noon, drove me to the theater, and I got in line and got tickets. Like, you couldn't buy tickets ahead of time.
Yep.
So I got dropped off at the theater, and I was like the only one in line. Like literally the only one in line. Everybody else was going to wait till like 5 o'clock to get their tickets. So I got my ticket, and it's like 1 o'clock. I had nothing, like literally nothing else to do for hours. So I went and saw the. this was a movie theater that had 4 screens, which was it had the massive 4-screen theater in the area. Like that was it. You know, that was the big one.
Yeah, that was the big one.
And I went and saw one of the other 3 movies that was going to be airing that day, and it was Star Trek Generations. I'm sorry, not Generations. It was The Final Frontier. Sorry, Final Frontier 5.
Oh, Tony, that movie.
It was. Yeah,
it's the second time that's come up just in the time I've been watching.
Yeah, it was. That was an experience.
That was a movie.
It really was a movie.
God needs a spaceship, Tony.
I left.
Why does God need a spaceship?
Came
Tony,
right back in.
Even ones.
In
Tony,
line for the 7 o'clock movie. The thing was, it was the biggest screen that I know of in our area at the time. This absolutely massive screen. It had like it had an auditorium style. Eric, you may know this was the Belleville Theater, the Skyview in Belleville. It was at the time it was one of the biggest in the area. But I sat I was one of the first ones in the theater, so I got in the middle, like as in the middle as you could get.
Yep.
And then the experience of seeing that movie opening night when we didn't have superhero movies. There wasn't a theater superhero movie
since
at
Superman.
the time.
I mean,
Since Superman.
Listen,
Well,
I
and then the
appreciate
petering out of
history-
Superman 4.
I appreciate that history exists, but also I hate everything you're describing.
It was amazing. For me, that's the theater experience though. Like that's the one that's I can still remember how I feel like sitting in that screen with all the other nerds. Because it wasn't mainstream. That movie
back then it was not mainstream.
That movie broke some mainstream for comic books, but it was not.
No.
This was still when nerds were getting shoved in lockers.
Yeah, Tony, I'll be honest with you, man. I started I was heavily involved in the beginning of the British Humor Club in my high school, where we watched Red Dwarf and Mr. Bean and Blackadder and stuff, and we weren't the nerds.
It is amazing.
In my high school, that would have been the nerds. That would have been only the nerds.
Yeah. I was really
Adam, I think
popular in high school.
I think you have a biased data set.
I was really popular.
Wait a minute. It was also an all male high school, so there's a little bit of a
there's the bias.
Sure. I'm gonna be tapping out. It's getting late up here, and I had a very full on day. I had a couple of job interviews. It's time for me to tap out. So
we don't want to break our 3-hour record. That
I know.
to stand. That needs to stand.
It's the double-handed multi-salute.
Yeah.
That is how we do it in New Zealand. How did you know that, Dave?
I was really trying to move there. I honestly was.
You
really did try.
You just wanted to talk Cam Banks. That's all that is.
No, I would hang out with Cam Banks, but he wasn't there yet.
This has been an absolute blast. Congratulations on your 500th episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was a blast. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thanks.
Love you guys. See you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, look out. Holden's going to be jumping on here any second now.
Of course he is.
All right.
He's been chomping at the bit. I literally got a message about 30 seconds after Sam logged in. It says it's full.
Can we talk for 5 seconds about how hot Pip's accent still is?
Yep, we can.
All these years later.
Turns out,
years later,
ages like a fine wine.
It does. It really does. And you know what? Her Erotica a la carte podcast got me through a lot of lonely nights. It's that
That's a good one. It really is a good podcast.
Earlier days of the internet.
I love Pip so much. I've heard that accent in person. She's as wonderful in person as she is on the internet.
Yeah, both of them are. They're good people.
Fucking beer nipples.
Sam, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm probably doing better than I deserve.
Well,
Sam, how's Alex?
How was Alex?
Yeah.
So Alex fucked around and found out today he's got 2 scratch marks on his face.
Persephone?
Yeah, he fucked around with Persephone and he found out.
You know, listen, it's important to learn consequences early.
So he was kind of a
cats. What's that line about cats being a lesson in consent and boundaries?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've also heard it said dogs have owners and cats have staff.
Yeah.
And he was definitely acting up, and so he was reprimanded.
Listen, I have only met one cat that didn't love me immediately. Persephone and I have had a negotiation. When I stayed in your basement and she was down there, we had a conversation about boundaries and consent and all that kind of good fun stuff.
She's a good cat. She likes 3 people.
Oh no, I love her. Yeah, no, she's great.
So, but otherwise, Alex is 28 inches tall.
So he's giant.
Yeah, and he is 7.5 months old, so he is huge.
Yeah, no. So actually, we were talking about this at the Packers playoff game. Ann and I went over to my parents' house, and they were talking about Alex, and talking about how long he was when he was born.
Long.
Yes.
Eric, that's how they measure babies. They measure them in length.
Babies and basketball players. That's you measure them in length.
Yeah. Anyway, so they were talking, and Anna's like, "Oh, Alex was XX inches long." And my mom was like, "Oh, geez."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, is that a thing?"
He's 80% in height, but his head is 98% still. So he's going to be a bobblehead. He's about 50% for weight, so he's going to be skinny. Kind of skinny like me in high school, but
giant noggin,
but fucking gigantic. And at least that's the speculation. And I don't know, the specs don't really mean shit. But
here's the thing. Here's what I haven't seen you do yet. I haven't seen you make a betting board for at what age Alex is when he becomes taller than Haley.
Oh man.
Because I bet it's 7. I'm putting my money on 7.
7 years old? No way.
7 years old. I bet they'll be about the same
11.
height.
Nah, it'll be late elementary school.
You, Sam, will
Haley
have
is
to
5'4".
put them back to back, and you will have to make the determination which one is taller.
Yeah, I want my money on 9.
9? Okay, we got money on 9. We got money on 7.
When was your growth spurt?
When was I was 6 foot tall in 6th grade.
Yeah.
I had a size 12 shoe when I was 12 years old.
Okay,
I said 11. That's a little
The
late.
12-year-old in this house is over 5, probably 5'10".
But also, we're comparing against Haley's height.
Who is
5'4"? Haley is not 6 foot.
Oh, I know she's not. That's why I said 11 was. I think Eric's 9 is probably.
Haley's less than my
I would guess 10. I would guess 10, absolutely.
I don't have the impressive tit height.
I mean, I don't know. People keep asking what's parenting like, and I'm like, I don't know how to answer that because the basis with which I am viewing the world is my wife was 6 months pregnant when quarantine started, and here we are. With a 7-month-old baby. Exactly. Holden's got it. It's just key. I don't know. He's never been to a park. He's played in grass twice.
Oh wow.
Holy shit.
It's not a good situation. But at
that's
least
always
it's
fun though. Grass is always fun though. That's a good first experience. It's because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. What is this? This is not
40, but for him, that's a significant portion of his life, and
yeah.
I mean,
he's gonna forget.
We see the lightsaber holding.
Oh, we're fucking around with lightsabers? Are we fucking around with lightsabers?
This is how we lose hands.
Oh shit! Do I need to go get mine?
Yeah, might as well.
I think that's what we're doing. Apparently, I'm actually short a lightsaber at this point.
I'm just gonna line up the lightsaber.
I got some glow sticks downstairs.
Oh shit,
but I'm
we're
not
getting a
going
2 for
down.
1.
Haley!
Hi,
Haley. Headphones.
You have to go to the other side. There you go.
Sam, you know we've had a conversation about how you looked out with Haley, right?
Yeah, no, we've talked about how I definitely married up.
Good. Does she know
We've talked
that?
about that. No, oh yeah, she's well aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haley is the best.
She's pretty fucking great.
Holden still talks about meeting you guys, and it's like, is that the one who barfed?
Yeah, I'm the one who barfed. I remember you were like 10 or 11.
I did tell that story.
You know what? I think so. Because that story was before I met you.
It was in 6th grade.
It was 6th grade.
It was
You're 11 or 12.
Yeah.
You were 11.
Yeah.
God damn!
Just
I
before
cannot wait
12.
to come up for another fucking game weekend, Sam.
It's if it's you going to bed. All right, get some good sleep.
Night, Haley.
The first
Good
game
night,
weekend
Haley.
that we do is going to be like a baby shower. We're going to be like, it's a baby shower, except don't bring a gift, just bring hooch.
Is that
Solid.
for all the babies?
Yeah. Like we're gonna play. Like there's gonna be a lot of I don't know. It's gonna be a very different game situation because I'm much deeper in playing Magic these days than board games. Like my scythe is still in the wrapper, but I can pivot.
Listen, me and Craig have bonded. We're fine. We don't need you.
Guy, he shaved his fucking mustache off.
I fucking love that guy so much.
You'll get back into board games quick. It'll be like falling off of a box of Twilight Imperium.
Fuck Twilight Imperium. That game is trash.
Oh, don't
I
you talk to
fucking
me.
hate Twilight Imperium.
Because you don't know it.
Buddy, Eric, you would love it.
What, the game day?
Yeah, the game
Yeah.
weekend. It's a fucking nerd fest. Oh, no,
man.
I invited you.
Yeah.
You bailed on me last time.
Possibly. I probably was intending to go the next time it happened, and then
And Luke was supposed to come, but he was otherwise occupied.
Nah, Luke's got a baby now. He doesn't show up for anything.
Well, yeah, so do I, and I don't show up to shit either.
That's the move.
Yeah, that's why you have it at your place.
I tell you what, when this all ends and we're all vaccinated, I will be looking for any excuse to go to other places.
Yeah, you take the long drive to Minnesota in October.
Yeah. You don't even have to make the drive. I'll do the drive. You can sleep.
Okay,
That's a guarantee.
I'll happily sleep on the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, Anna, you've done it. It's pretty sweet.
Alternatively,
it's a great
I'll
drive.
sing for you the whole way. I mean,
Oh no! You can sleep. Don't worry. You can sleep.
So I mean, I've been trying to get.
working in my
You know what? I'll play the pan flute, and Eric can sing.
There you go.
I've been trying to get Adam convinced to just get a little trailer and to bring the motorcycle with him and come up for the flood run here, but there is this one death stretch, this one frontier stretch in fucking Iowa.
If I brought the motorcycle, I'd have to
Fuck
get
Iowa.
a truck, so it wouldn't be an issue. And apparently, my parents are getting like an RV or something. They're gonna park at my house.
By the way, RVs are money pits.
Not my RV.
Boats.
They're money. Yes, and boats. They're money pits.
But they will let me take it wherever I want, whenever I want.
Ooh.
So they
Okay.
will pay for it.
Yeah, my parents will
Someone
last
else's
year.
money pit.
My parents
There you
last
go.
year have spent their money on a vacation to Branson and a vacation to Texas. So
Those aren't vacations.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those sound like
I've been to
chores.
Branson. It sucks.
and that's when there's not a plague.
I've worked in Branson. It really sucks.
Oh.
They messaged me. This was like, I don't know, a couple of months, 2 months ago. They messaged me on like a Tuesday and like, hey, us and the whole extended family are going to do a Branson vacation this weekend. You want to come? No.
No. No.
For so many reasons.
Yeah. I'd rather go to fucking Edmonton in January.
I'd rather go nowhere.
Right?
I had to go to Edmonton in January, Scott.
Yeah, I know. Been out that way.
It was so fucking cold.
Did you hit the magic -40?
I did. And when it was there,
yes.
And it was like, we're just like, is Calgary due south of there? Is that
Calgary is due south by however many 100 kilometers? Yeah,
like 3 hours drive or something.
Yeah, like 300-400 kilometers. Yeah,
like I was going up there to look when I used to work at the steel mill to look at these bars because we had issues with these bars. And we're like, hey, can you get these inside to look at? And they're like, no. Okay, you flew 2 of us from Minnesota up here, and they go, no, we aren't going to be able to get those until at least March. Why? And he brought me outside and he pointed to the makeshift igloo. He goes, they're frozen. They're 22-foot long, 7/8 inch diameter bars, and they're stacked in a frozen fucking pile. They're in this giant, like there could be a wampa hiding inside. We don't know.
Did the makeshift igloos have makeshift crates?
I have the proper tool to deal with that.
Do, yeah. That's how you fuck. That's how the wampa fucked around and found out.
Yeah.
Now it can only count to 6.
Yep.
This is fun. I'm starting to fade, but congratulations, Tony. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for being part of it for the last little bit.
Yeah, off and on for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thanks,
Anna.
Good night, Anna.
And then there were 8.
So, Holden.
Mm.
We've talked about a lot of stuff. What do you want to talk about?
Going to fucking college?
Hey, Holden. Are you worried about your parents walking in while you're banging the chick?
Not going to be doing that for a while.
Have your parents walk in?
Well, no, because me and my girlfriend broke up today.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest with you, Holden.
Today, like
the amount of people
earlier
that
today.
are not my girlfriend is like not. That's not. There's no correlation.
Yeah, but see, my room's a fucking pit, so.
Yeah, but you're not going to be living there.
You won't be living in that
couch. And then, do they still put socks on the door? I don't.
We drew a pineapple.
Hope so that's your tradition. I've just sort of. I've accepted, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Well,
negotiate the code.
You shouldn't do that at your house.
With your roommate.
That's weird.
Yeah, don't do that at your house.
Because your mom knows the deal, and like she knows the deal. Like,
that's telegraphing a little. Okay.
Yeah. She's gonna be less weirded out if you were like, just don't come in my room.
Yeah. Like, okay, so
at that point, it's bragging.
I assume you're gonna have a roommate.
Yeah,
your mom's always impressed with you, regardless.
Fair assumption. Okay, we had whiteboards that we not zip tied, but that we like attached to the door so you could leave notes for people or something. And the code was, look, if you're getting busy, just draw like a pineapple on the door. Because he had been watching Sequest 2020, and there's a character in there that just eats a fucking pineapple with a hull on it, and it's like, I can't draw a pineapple. Dipshit, I'm a computer science major. I go, okay, then just write Dagwood. Just write Dagwood on the fucking door. No one will know what that shit means. It's fucking. This is in the pre-meme lord age, and he just wrote Dagwood. The thing that annoyed me was that I went to breakfast and I came back and the door was Dagwood, and I didn't even get to brush my teeth for 3.5 hours.
See, this is why, and you know what, Holden, may you have my fortune with roommates. Because when I went to Rolla, and I also had a double dorm room my first couple of years. But the first semester I was there, about halfway through the semester, my roommate bailed, just dropped out of college, no questions asked. And I actually was stupid enough to tell people that, hey, yeah, my roommate left. I probably should get a different roommate. And they just, no one bothered, I guess, doing the paperwork because I had an unofficial single for the next year and a half.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was perfect. It was beautiful.
The Smales fuck palace.
I actually had a single dorm, second smallest room in the building, possibly second smallest room in campus, but it was still a single.
Scott's fuck closet.
Yeah.
You walk in, you ain't walking out.
No.
Holden, have you hit the wall in any courses in high school so far?
What do you mean by hit the wall?
So like hitting the wall is when you have that realization that the effort that you normally put in to a class is not going to be enough to get you through. And you got to buckle down and actually fucking study and talk to a tutor or put some more effort in. You've done it? Okay. You are a couple paces ahead of many of your peers, because I think a lot of people here have had that experience, whether it's at work or in school. And if you're already dealing with the completely new social paradigm of college and not having supervision, that can be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, I went to college having never had to try an ounce in high school, and I was a terrible undergrad. It was
my god, me too.
That's why I still don't have my bachelor's degree. I've got an associate's, but I don't have a bachelor's. And it's for that exact reason. But Holden, what class was that? And who helped you through it?
Was it making out with dude?
Was it
how many different writing classes was it? How many different writing classes was it?
Wow. So you're coasting in your dad's talent to get through fucking high school? You got 4 years of college, my friend.
You want to talk about last semester where I didn't perform a single math quiz alone?
Ooh. Ooh.
Wow.
Well,
you're so lucky Anna logged off.
She did narc on you so hard.
I'm messaging her right now, telling her how much you're the worst.
Fucking narc.
Yeah, Jesus.
Give her the timestamp. It's the 256 mark of the video. Yeah, so T and Dip weren't joking about that 3-hour thing.
I was solidly expecting this thing to go to like midnight, 1 a.m.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Does everybody else have somebody pressing where
yeah, I have a pressing appointment.
No, you don't. You're a dad.
When that fucking baby wakes up screaming at 3. That's on you, man. Again.
Hold on. You're a dad.
You know what?
Dad.
Have McKenna call him.
Holden's got nothing going on. Scott's got nothing going on. Eric's got nothing. Oh, wait. No one has anything going on.
Alex is the only of the cousins. He is the only boy. And so,
really?
Yeah. So tonight we called one of his cousins, the one who is the middle child. Mm-hmm. And all she wanted to do on the app was do like the, I'm a flower face. Oh, I'm a fish. Oh, look, like I'm a heart and I'm floating around, like all the stuff where they're learning how to deep fake us, or they're harvesting all that data. Yeah. And all she's doing is that, and her older sister is trying to get in to like say hi to us and see Alex because he's this like new novelty little larval family member. And as any time that the older sister would get close, Evelyn would shriek. And so he's just getting bigger and bigger eyes, and he's trying to shrink out of the camera. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, they're girls. They're terrifying. This is like, you haven't experienced small women yet. The only women you know are like.
We want to talk about Eve for a second? Oh, that woman is fucking terrifying.
What the fuck are you talking about?
My 5'3" theater director, who is the scariest woman I've ever met in my life.
You know, we're not all in high school, right?
Now, I'm not going to tell you that theater directors aren't the third scariest people on earth, but I mean, context cues, my bud.
They can look into you, and they can
Hold
find the phrase that will destroy you.
God, Scott, I'm loving your Revan lightsaber. By the way, that's phenomenal.
Hold on.
I camped for that, and
Is
by
that-
camped I
you-
mean I
You moved your head. Is
rephrased
that
a
a
bunch.
fucking Sazabi?
Yes, that is the Sasabi. It is right next to my Banshee, which is in front of my portrait in front of the unicorn Adodaiba.
Here's the deal, Sam. I said I just recently watched Foolie Cooley, and Scott and Chibi descended upon me like a fucking plague of locusts. Like a fucking plague of locusts. They're like, we should talk about it. And I was like, yeah. I feel like at almost 40, I do have feelings about the show. Get on the fucking podcast. And then these two nerded about fucking anime for 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, I'm almost 40.
I'm going to have to call it quits, guys. It's been a long day, too. So,
Daryl, out of here,
Daryl.
You have
Bye,
a
Daryl.
sleep.
Daryl, we will see you the next time we can have it. We will definitely see you the next time we can have an Archon.
yes.
Hi, Daryl. It was awesome to see you again.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody.
I use
Bye-bye.
Archon as a personal fuck bank, and it is offensive to me we haven't had it.
Adam's sex double.
I tell you what,
Maybe they will.
the last orgy I was invited to participate in was at Archon, and I walked away from it.
Good move.
I was like, I can't sacrifice my Archon for this orgy. Even though
I know exactly what you're talking about, too.
Even though it ticks a lot of boxes for me. I was not willing to sacrifice my Archon. I had other business to conclude.
Adam, it's not that I'm mad. It's
Good
just
night.
that I'm disappointed.
What? Disappointed about what?
See you, Daryl.
He didn't even say anything.
The look on his face said it all. There were no words.
Disappointed at what, Sam? I made the
Dad,
right
we
call.
just did the same thing. We did the.
I did the right call, Sam. I'm gonna walk away from anything I can't get whenever I want. Plague notwithstanding.
I was going to say, if there was a regret, I would assume it's because of plague.
Plague notwithstanding.
Oh, you guys don't even know.
Or
Well,
yeah,
it's
we probably do.
I don't know who's had the full background, but like 2020 was incredibly hard because I had the trifecta. I found out I was losing my job. They're shutting my plant down, and we had a baby during a pandemic.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I showed up at Sam's house personally to be fed.
Yeah, on the deck.
So Sam, the only thing that I don't have on that is that I lost my job and didn't have a replacement,
And you already had a kid.
and had a and then had a baby when I still didn't have a job.
In
But
addition,
it wasn't during a pandemic.
Wasn't
So
during a pandemic,
addition
you had
to the
people
kid
that
you
could
already
watch the
had.
show. Yeah. Oh, you had 2.0. Okay.
in addition to the Holden you already regretted.
Yeah.
No, this was when they were both there after I lost that job. This was when I lost my job when Julie was pregnant with Holden.
Oh,
Yeah, and I didn't have a job for like
I'm sorry.
8 months.
Hard for me to remember Julie's hundreds of pregnancies.
Yeah.
There've been so many.
But
the horde that Holden leads, the tip of the
Both of them.
spear.
of which I was only around for one.
Oh boy.
Alden, I'm going to be real honest with you. Listen, I saw a video capture, a picture capture today of someone saying that white people don't have real talk. Alden, I like your sister better than you.
No, yeah. Most people do.
I'm going to be honest. If I had to pick, I like Arrow a lot more. She's the dime.
Yeah.
Sorry. She's been pitching Mary her Girl Scout cookies for years. And honestly, I respect her hustle. I'm sorry. I just
I get it. I get it.
If I have to pick one of you, and you know what? I was around when Julie was pregnant with Aaron. Tony and I gamed a half-ass character creation Vampire the Masquerade campaign over like an hour and a half.
What are we doing? I don't know. Are we going to play this game? No, we're just going to create characters.
All right. No, we're going to make characters. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Tony's like, "Oh, I'm not in the hospital. This is amazing."
I'm not at the hospital or driving back and forth to the hospital or sleeping, because those are literally been the only things that I've done for the last 8 months. Okay, let's do this.
Oh man,
actually 5 months.
That guy that runs that game sucks. I hate that guy. Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that
guy
was
Dan.
That was a night.
That guy is Dan.
God, the I still am reeling from when you and Anna came up and we had you on the deck. We had masks on. You get to see the little guy and give him the vest that would be the cover of our Christmas card, and the meal that we make was the fucking pork thai curry.
Oh man!
And
here's the thing: Haley loves me. I don't know why. It's probably because she's the best.
So you two have gone, and I walk inside, and I'm like, God, just the sheer odds of us doing the Thai curry when Adam and Ann are going to be here. And Haley just turns and looks at me and goes, "This was always the plan." And I, like the ignorance of a man who has walked into a honey trap in a Russian hotel in Moscow, not knowing that the jaws have already closed on the trap that will be his doom.
I love Haley so much. So here's a fun story about Haley.
I'm so dumb.
2 years ago, I showed up at a game weekend at one of Sam's friends' relatives. All right, so I assume the game weekend is going to be weird because, the further degrees of separation you get away from the people who are hosting you, the weirder it's going to be. All right, so roll in, and the people hosting us are Sam's best friend's wife's parents.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
In the middle of the country.
It's 4 degrees away. It's in the middle of the country.
It's a generational divide, too, obviously.
There's a generational divide. So we roll in, and Betty and Mike, I shit you not, cannot be more nice. Fucking, it is uncanny. Like, Betty is super outgoing, and she's like, "Hey, you guys are new. Let me open this champagne and let's fucking celebrate." She's just, I don't know what it is, but she's just like a very bridging social construct. And like, as somebody who has a real hard time engaging in like normative social constructs, like I appreciate the meta commentary around the social construct. It's just, I think about it a lot. And she's a fucking master. Like, I love that. It's weird. I would take a bullet for Betty, this person I've met twice, 3 times in my life. Like, I would take a bullet for this person. She's very good. Oh, she cooked frozen pizzas and she had champagne. She was very good.
We've been doing these things 4 times a year for the last 5 or 6 years.
I was going to say, I just met Betty the one time during Sam and Haley's wedding weekend, and she's absolutely fabulous person.
It's weird. She's like, "Hey, you moved out. How are things going?" And it's like, that's a very specific detail to have picked up. Like, I moved into an apartment, like, away from. It's like, it's a very specific detail to have picked up, and like, it's not unmeaningful to ask. Like, it means she's just very. I love Betty. And like everyone I've seen, it's like the general consensus. Betty showed up at a party, like a weekend Sam was having at his house, and like everyone in that, like, like nudge, nudge, psst, 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 let's talk about Betty. She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let's all whisper about how great Betty is. Like that's not how whispering about people works.
That's not
how shit talking works, right?
Yeah. The third of these weekends that I went to, my gallbladder shit the bed on the Friday night of the weekend, and she drove us, Haley and I, to the local ER in that area at 3 a.m.
She's wonderful. And if anybody ever tells me wrong, I will fight them. I've met her 4 times in my life.
She listened to me caterwaul in the most intense pain of my life, rolling around on my back on the floor of an emergency room, waiting.
Eric, I will let you know the next time I go up there because I feel like you... Actually, bring Monica. I feel like both of you would really fucking enjoy it.
I mean, every time I've heard you guys talk about these trips up there, it just sounds fantastic, I would say. So.
If you set the expectation you want to play Twilight Imperium, the table will be set up and Bailey will destroy you.
That's right. No, I joke, and one of the things that's been so disappointing about the fucking plague was going back, like, I don't know, 3 Gen Cons ago. I got the newest, the 4th edition of Twilight Imperium at Gen Con, an early release or whatever, and I brought it home, and I was like, God damn it, I've got this new game. I'm really excited. And this is one of those games that everybody fucking buys and then plays once a goddamn year.
Yep.
No one learns the rules. It takes forever. No one knows what they're doing. And then you put it away until the next year when you drag it out.
That's
fuck that.
Battlestar for us. Yep.
Right. So I said, fuck that. I'm not doing that. So I intentionally set up a Facebook group and invited like anyone I could think of who was a big board game nerd.
You invite me, Eric.
That's because you blew up all his dreadnoughts that one time, Adam.
Yeah, I didn't trust you after Risk. I don't know.
I played that game appropriately.
God, fucking, I love Risk. God damn it,
fuck Risk.
But I set it up. I said, all right, we're gonna set it aside. The first Sunday of every month, we're gonna play Twilight Imperium, and we're gonna do it at minimum once a month. And I kept that track going. We played Twilight Imperium like 12 months in a row. And we got to the point where we were finishing a game in 4 hours. We could get 2 games in a day.
God, that sounds like a prison sentence.
It was but it was phenomenal. Everybody was having a blast. The turns were snapping. And everybody knew what the fuck they were doing. You could learn the factions, like it turned into real playing a board game as opposed to just this monster box that no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
right?
Every game is a learning game, which is the frustration, right? Like, you want to sit down at a table with, like, imagine sitting down at an RPG table with a group that knows the system and has played together for years, and everyone knows what they're going to do on their turn.
And that's what we managed to get with Twilight Imperium. And it got to the point where it was like, you know what, let's do this with some of these other giant box games that no one ever gets to play. So, I mean, we did 3 years solid of once a month getting a board game out and spending, 6 to 8 hours on a Sunday just playing these big box board games that you normally don't get to play. And it was great. And then
like a Eclipse.
Yeah, and then the plague hits and it, stops happening.
Wow. So breaking news, Eric caused the plague.
Yeah, it's my fault.
This is conclusive evidence. Lena, ruling?
Oh, Eric, you suck.
Eric,
as damning a ruling as I can come up with.
I mean, I'm not going to say that I just flew back from Wuhan at the start of last year, but
you know what I just deal with, Eric? Every single week from the beginning of December to the end of January, I had a consistent gaming group, a consistent weekly in-person gaming group. We were maybe 2 games away from finishing Kingdom Death. And I'm just looking at the memories of every picture I took of the game table, and I was like, you fucking fool. You don't even know what's coming.
Yep.
I don't want to be a dick, but I am going to be that dick. If you would have told me 10 years ago that in 2020 I'd be playing D&D 3 nights a week, every game with my wife as either a fellow player or a player in one of the games I'd be GMing, and we have a kid together in Minnesota, I'd be like,
you laughed and fucking out of the
show
room.
me your time machine, wizard man.
Yeah, like
that's wizard.
That's been the crazy thing, is that we could get this podcast going again consistently, with the exception of like holidays.
Yeah, you can have a 15 Bud Light Adam on the show again.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing is we don't even have to. Yeah, we don't even have to pause for him to pee. He can just stay on the microphone and go.
Yeah, I've watched him do it 3 times since I've been here. It's beautiful.
I had to do it once already tonight.
Yeah, Bluetooth technology did not exist when Scott had me on his podcast.
These headsets reach to my fridge. My bathroom is between here and the fridge.
I, on the other hand, am just counting on my powerful bladder. So,
well, also I saw Monica roll in twice, so maybe
sure.
So erase the labor of women from your life, Eric. Jesus,
David,
what
I want to know is, what are you drinking? Because I know that you're as at least intoxicated as I am right now.
Ooh,
I can tell. Because I could. Okay, I knew it wasn't just the sparkling cider.
Oh no, I've already.
That was just a celebratory drink, right?
That was just so he could drink out of the dick.
Right.
Wait for it.
I like the look on Holden's face right now. Like, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. He saw the glass before.
No, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, very nice.
I'm just pondering if I should make a joke or not.
I think he's just Holden's just really happy that the glass is circumcised. How do you get moving parts in glass?
The problem is air pressure. Not a matter of staying classy. It's physics.
Yeah,
I don't get how turtlenecks factor into physics.
Oh, you know what, Sam?
Thank you, Lena. Jesus, thought that was gonna miss.
No,
Sam,
it hit.
I didn't miss it. The joke I was gonna make was, I'll talk to you tomorrow about like the physics of getting liquid out of a surface area. Oh, there's a hair.
That's always a problem.
That's a mark of authenticity.
Getting
Generally.
liquid out. I do love this thing, but I gotta work out a better way to drink from it.
I think a straw is probably the better way to go.
I think
I'm with Tony on that one.
But I might get drunker with the straw.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Man, what a first world problem to have.
White people.
You're not wrong.
At least you proved they could have real talk.
Yeah.
Nice callback.
I was gonna say I was listening to the stream before I came in, and I was gonna be like, T, that theater to go see Dune is your own personal gomcha bar. You can go in, but you have to stay in until it's finished.
You know what?
He tried and died.
There's a point when I might be willing to quarantine. Like if I could go and then just, all right, well, I guess I'm going to be at the hotel for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I mean, the vaccines are rolling out. You have a third one. Production will scale up substantially. I think the light is at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the no leaf clover Metallica kind. Kids, ask your parents, Holden. but it's coming. It's coming. And if Johnson & Johnson's single shot, I mean, even if it's a lower efficacy, you're dealing with an 85% reduction, at least from the most current article posted, about a severe reaction. So you may get the one that's like, oh, my tummy, I'm blanket soup. Ooh. You might get that version of COVID that hopefully doesn't have crippling lung and heart damage. But I mean, we don't
or long-term neurological damage.
Oh, my migraines are fucking awfully worse now. I know a couple.
Here's the thing. You know what's
people that already have that?
Lung and heart damage? Not being able to bone new people for the last 12 months. If I have to take a risk on boning new people for the next 12 months, I'm gonna bet on that.
Well, I'm really glad that your risk assessment is still intact, Adam. There's the like crippling heart damage versus getting some strange. You're just like doing the calculus.
How much strange do you get?
I think you know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I do know the answer to that question.
I buy all sorts of pre-painted D&D minis.
That's why our feelings on the matter are different.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but I have a baby.
I do.
You know what my strange is? Wow.
Yeah.
You managed to get vomit on all three of us.
Having met your baby and also your wife. I know the strange. The strange is very familiar.
That's the line of the night for me. The strange is very familiar. I'm really hoping we can, once things settle down, actually get to a fucking Archon. Whether we leave the baby here with somebody, but
or just bring him along, because I'm pretty sure Julie's ready. Julie's ready to watch a baby.
Julie, Anna's all about that shit. I was like, oh, yeah, McKenna, like Luke invited us over, but that felt weird. And she's like, I would watch McKenna in a second. And I was like, that sounds boring. And she's like, what the fuck do you think you're going to be doing there? I don't know. No,
not being there because you weren't invited.
Yeah.
Because
this is weird.
McKenna would be all over. Guess who? You.
I know. McKenna's the best. She's my buddy. Ooh, I bought her like $200 worth of birthday presents. I bought her so many birthday presents. I bought her so many birthday presents. Luke messaged me and he's like, "You gotta not buy that many.
You gotta calm down.
You can't do that."
Yeah, this one talking animal and a few musical numbers, and this is not going to end well for her.
Yeah, Luke's worried that this is starting to approach like a dowry. So,
wow, that might get weird.
If you do too much like this, there's going to be a witch that shows up and steals Luke away, or turns him into a bear or some shit, and she's going to have to change her fate.
Here's the thing.
Or some other such nonsense.
She's adopted. You know what that means? That means every single family member position is open for grabs. And
I thought you were going to be like the real parents were fairies, and that's this Disney story that's coming together, and like they have like weird. One of the pets becomes the talking sidekick, and the other's the cute one that doesn't talk, like Momo.
I want to be Uncle David.
You go on the magical adventure with her.
I had 2 shitty Uncle Davids. You know what I want for her? I want for her to have Uncle David who doesn't suck, who buys her great presents.
Well, we try not to hang out with people who suck, so I think
her parents are like, yeah, he's fine, but he's gonna spoil her. Like, that's what I want the butt to be.
There are 2 rules in this house, McKenna.
I don't want to be. He's cool, but he's gonna molest her. I don't want that one. I want
no.
But
nobody wants that one.
No, nobody wants that one.
He's gonna spoil her. That's the one I want. Right?
There are 2 rules. I want to go on a magical adventure with David to save my family. Okay,
Yeah.
there are 3 rules.
God damn it! Wow, McKenna's great.
Do you get turned into the magical talking pet, and then like you have to go save the world? I may be workshopping a script here.
Hold on.
Like I think it's like he's really enthusiastic about the magic, but she actually has the magic powers, and they have to take a road trip up the mountain
in a Tesla.
Appa and
In a
Momo.
distinctly not magic car.
Appa and Momo serve a very specific purpose in the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, Momo sucks and Appa breaks your heart.
Oh, Appa's
I stand
love
by
always
this
breaks
statement.
your heart.
He does. Because at some point in Aang's life, he had to bury Appa.
I actually don't know that.
I think he did. I think
I
that's
don't
what
think he did. Because, Roku didn't bury his dragon.
I think the tragedy there is that Appa buries Aang. That's where the tragedy comes in, and it's not his first, and it's not his first.
It's not Appa's first airbender.
No, it's
I
not.
think
I think Appa knows it. I think Appa knows he's just another one.
Tony, because he does show up full formed. He's lived a life before Aang. Tony, I gotta think about this.
I'm gonna have to unpack this.
Tony, I'm gonna have to masturbate about this.
Tony, no.
Just make sure you use the proper lube.
Well, on that interesting visual,
Lena's like tapping out. This is.
Will have scared away the last of the women folk.
No, see. She has to go masturbate on this. That's why she's leaving.
So, like, when I went to the Ghibli Museum, there's like a short that's exclusive just for the museum, and it rotates every year or whatever. And so when I went, it was like this. We sat down, and it's this 5-minute short, and it features not only a baby cat bus that is only big enough for like one person to sit on top.
Oh no!
But they take this cat bus deep into the woods where there's like this huge cat bus gathering, and they all get on this ancient, massive cat bus that's the size of like a cruise ship, and it's like this is a very ecology of cat buses I had not considered before. Most of the short is also just May feeding various cat buses caramels, and the animators getting very detailed about how a cat mouth works around a caramel.
They need research. I will tell them.
okay, time for me to go to bed.
Wow,
Good
is that
night.
a Hispanic accent?
I don't know what it was.
Good night.
Get the net.
I heard the bullet.
Happy
Smash it.
500.
I heard the bullet.
Thanks, Lena. Thanks for showing up. It's good seeing you.
Bye,
glad to be
Lena.
here. I can't believe I made it 3.5 hours.
You did
My
well.
head-
You're
my
very
head's
good. I'm
gone.
very proud of you.
There. Good night,
Great
y'all.
success. So, who wants to hear about my script drama?
Okay,
no,
I'm
not
out.
again.
All
Not
right.
again.
Nah, I think I should probably tap out too.
Scott, thanks for showing up, man. It was great
No
seeing
worries.
Bye,
you.
Scott.
No, thanks.
It's good to see you, Scott.
Yeah, see you around.
Hey, sometime maybe let's hit episode 5. Let's hit episode 100 with quickies since you stopped at 99.
There was an episode 0 though. There was an episode 0.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
Actually, there might be the quickies might return. I might be pranking my boss on something.
Nice. Very nice. Good seeing you, Scott.
See ya.
Good luck with the boss. Sam, so how are you? Did you get a chance to see this movie?
No. No, I'm a dad. I get to watch some curated Twitch channels and the game of what baby food will the kid actually eat instead of throwing up immediately. That's what I get to do.
That's fair. When you get the time, I would say give this one a shot, and you and Haley enjoy it together.
Is this so this is Taika,
yes.
Written and directed?
Taika.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We've seen, did he write and direct What We Do in the Shadows?
Yep.
Yeah.
The OG?
Yes.
Okay. And I think Jojo Rabbit, same deal, right?
Correct.
It's more like Jojo Rabbit than it is What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
Agreed.
Because I love black comedy, specifically stuff that makes fun of Hitler.
Who
doesn't?
Closed captions needs to be on.
For JoJo or for Wilderpeople?
For Wilderpeople. It needs to be on. There is a moment that comes that needs it.
Okay.
I would say when the music starts at the very end of the movie, and you'll know when the very end of the movie is. Yeah. There's a really great sequence when there's music, and you can hear light singing in the background. The captions really, really sell it because you get to pick up what the lyrics are actually saying in the song, and it's worth it. You don't need them for the movie, but for that, it'll
be on.
There are points where you need it in the movie.
We needed it for Julie.
It'll be on because it's going to have to be quiet enough so the kid doesn't.
Well, and that's just it. When you're watching a movie with kids, you use it. That's Holden doesn't remember this, but I watched the movie Solaris, the original.
I'm sorry,
Solaris, the
Russian one.
All 4 hours of it, which it had to be subtitled because I don't speak Russian. But Holden played with very, very loud toys when he was probably about Alex's age now, probably a little young, it would had to have been just a little bit older.
Okay,
but yeah, I watched Solaris.
It's a weird discussion to have with a grown ass man named Holden Mast with a beard.
Yeah,
here.
right.
By the way, you grow a healthier beard than I can grow, so good job. You did it.
He does have some pretty good beard game.
I'm a little proud. Gotta admit.
Should be proud. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff.
It should work out well because he's trying out for the part of Gomez Adams in the Addams Family musical that they're doing, and he just has to get rid of the beard, but the mustache, man, he doesn't need to have one penciled on.
Yeah.
Let me just.
Yeah. It's on point. Watch it. It's going to be. I'm very curious what your director will do. Will it be Raul Julia's take?
I know she at least wants a Spanish dialect, and I'm doing my best to work on that. But
I heard you have an inside source that can get you.
No, because
good practice.
What happened was we had done the entire show. We were a week away from Hell Week, and then we got shut down.
This was last year, so
now we're doing it again.
The original cast members, most of them graduated. They're gone. No.
And that's why I get a chance to try again as Gomez.
Here's hoping we can get our collective shit together.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Holden, do you speak Spanish?
No.
Wow. You're going to have to learn some key phrases.
The language is muy fácil, hombre.
I knew that.
Do you?
Más lento.
My favorite Spanish word is sacapuntas. Pencil sharpener.
Do you know what?
Sacapuntas, pencil sharpener. It's my favorite word.
Y cuando los latinos están escuchando español, Y ahora, ¿qué haces hacer?
See, I don't know what you said there.
Yeah, no, I speak this language.
Guys, the lockdown has got me so bored that I have picked up Duolingo and have started relearning German.
I know you're friends with me on Duolingo now.
I'm getting a lot of XP.
You do know a German teacher.
I know I do.
You know a German doctorate.
Right? Well, I want to be able to learn a little bit, and then when I graduate beyond Duolingo, use her experience and education to keep going.
She
Just
wants
Hannah?
to go back to Germany. Yeah, she wants to go back to Germany very badly.
I don't blame her. I want to go. I've never been.
Yeah. No, she's a. Not only is she a good person to go. Oh, we should go.
All right.
She's a good person to go with because she, speaks German. And also, I got a buddy who lives there now who can house us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That definitely eases the load, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a dual communication housing front.
That helps a lot.
That's a decent trip.
In 2006, for spring break, I went to Ireland to see my uncle with two of the guys I was in college with, and that's the only big spring break trip I've ever done. And that tell you that saves you a shit ton of money as a poor ass college student staying with an uncle.
Staying with people, knowing someone there.
Put person on the ground. I need to go because that fucking child is going to be up. He's delightful, but he also does not have his sleep figured out, and that is unpleasant for me.
That's rough, buddy.
So,
I understand how that works.
Yeah, it's
Go
not
get
the
some rest.
sleep until 2 p.m. Holden.
Wow, I've only slept until 1:30 p.m. once.
Only once?
That was only like 2 weeks ago, though.
Yeah, I know.
I've always
It was
watched.
only once.
I thought you were 18.
Yeah.
I started doing it at 16.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to call it. But thank you for having me on, despite the fact I did not watch the film.
Hey, you know what? It's good. I would definitely recommend taking the time to watch it when you have the opportunity.
Yep.
It's worth it.
I'll add it to the backlog, folks. So y'all
Thanks
have a
for coming,
fine
Sam.
evening. Congrats on 500. We only made it 200 before we retired the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
So,
with that, I'm going to join you in the
y'all later.
leaving process.
See ya. See you, bud.
Bye-bye.
Well, look at that.
Wow, Eric, what the fuck are you doing every Wednesday?
Yeah. What am I doing every Wednesday?
Yeah.
I don't know, nothing.
You want to start reviewing some movies?
I mean, you know, I like talking about media. Sure. I don't have any plans.
Yeah. You can join
I
us.
have.
You're always welcome.
I purchased a webcam for this very night.
Did you really?
I did. I did not have a camera before this.
Wow.
Well, you know what? This just extends that investment.
Yeah,
Hey,
there you go.
what are you doing next week?
I mean, here's the thing. I didn't lose my job, and I don't have a kid. So as it turns out, I actually have a lot of spare money.
Yeah. No, that is a thing. That is a definite thing. And you also feel guilty for not immediately spending it on small businesses.
Yeah, you need to support the small businesses.
Yeah.
Or any business. Just keep that economy rolling.
It's like, oh, hey, bring me Qdoba, even though it's twice the amount of the burrito I would normally get.
Yeah. Oh God, I spend so much. I mean, I save money on gas, and then I spend it on DoorDash. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I tip well. I tip well. Yeah.
Anyway, we're doing Rise of Skywalker next week.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's the situation.
I mean, I can talk about that. I don't know that I have a lot nice to say, but I can talk about it.
I'm not gonna have anything nice to say, so
We don't always have nice things to say about movies.
Yeah, no, we have opinions, Eric.
I mean, yeah, I would love to. Like I said, barring, it's actually been a hellacious couple of weeks at work, but barring work emergencies, I definitely don't have prior commitments on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
fantastic.
All right, well then, I actually think I will leave it to the two of you to sign off your 500th and call it a night myself, gentlemen.
Thanks for showing up, Eric.
It's been a pleasure.
Eric,
glad having you. See you.
Hopefully, I will see you on Wednesday.
All right.
Well,
and then it was 2.
Yeah.
So, Tony, it's 2021.
I'm
looking at my watch. Like, that's going to help me do the math back to 2008. It's not.
13 years. It's been just about 13 years that you have been part of this show.
Mm-hmm. What over the last 13 years do you feel like is the best lesson you've learned?
That if you give the people opportunity to be generous for a good cause, they will do it. Because I would say the best lesson is not necessarily in this particular podcast, but in the sausage fest that it has wrought. And this sausage fest wouldn't be a thing without the podcast, without you having joined the podcast to keep it going, because it probably would have just died on the vine without a co-host. And so you joined at the right time to keep it going.
I feel like I joined at the right time for both of us.
Yes, I agree. I think it was a mutually beneficial situation for you and for me and for the podcast and for all the friendships that have come through this, all the people that have sat around the table.
It's been a lot.
There have been a lot of people that have sat around that dining room table talking about movies.
Earlier, when Jolie was on, I was like, you showed up to a sausage fest. And I was like, you should come out for a recording.
Yeah.
And then she was there for like a year and a half.
Well, how many people showed up like the same way?
Oh, so many people. Elizabeth, just so many fucking people.
Yeah.
That is something that never ceases to astound me about. And I don't know if it's just because it's kind of like this crescendo, right? Like of you and then me, and then like we have all these people in the middle, like that have shown up, like, the Shakespearean, everyone has their place on the stage. And then we're back to like the closing out notes or whatever. But that's the weird thing. Like, it's always for me been about, even for movies I didn't like, showing up and talking about them made the movie different. And like all the people we've accumulated over the years have shifted the difference about the movies in ways I did not expect.
I 100% agree. And I think that has especially been true as we've added different voices of different female voices, people of color, people with just different experiences than the just me and Anthony, and then me and you, and then me and you and Daryl. Like, even those three groupings, the experiences are similar enough that when we start adding like the new voices
Literally
beyond that,
anyone.
yeah, that's when it really changed. I mean, like I felt like I learned a lot and changed a lot just through through those conversations.
Yeah, and that's what always, that's what's always going to keep me coming back for movies, just in general, right? Like, they're challenging, and then when we sit around the table with, perspectives that are way not this fat white guy's perspective, like the challenges that happen there are always intense.
Absolutely.
And they massage my brain in a way I like.
Yeah, it's I think that's what keeps it coming back. I had somebody recently ask, well, how are you guys doing? How are the numbers of the podcast doing? I'm like,
Sure.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
for one thing, we didn't record for like
a
year?
Almost a year and a half.
And so anybody who was listening mostly stopped unless they just happened to not delete us from their podcatcher. And so just because it wasn't worth their time to delete us, they're still picking us up. And it's like, oh, holy shit, those guys are still going. Yeah.
I've never done this podcast for anybody else.
Nope. And that was the answer. It was like, the numbers are what they are. And at one point I cared, but I stopped caring when, and pretty much that when I stopped caring was the first hiatus that I took before Aaron was born. And it's like, since then, it's like, that's never been what it's about.
Yeah.
Like it was about that for a couple of months as the podcast was growing in the early days of podcasting, when it was like, oh, holy shit, 100 followers, 100 people downloading every week. Those are huge numbers. Now it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here's the deal. Like, if we didn't do the podcast, I would watch The Mandalorian. And like the first thing I would do after I finished The Mandalorian was jump into our group hangout and be like, hey, what the fuck's the deal with The Mandalorian?
Right. Yeah.
It's like shit I enjoy. And like it's never been about the followers or whatever. Like, even before before the pandemic, the routine for me was I'd leave here at 8. I'd get Qdoba, I'd show up at your place at 9. I might finish my meal. I might be done with my meal already, and we'd like fucking rap about the movie for 2 hours. It was never a tight discussion.
Never needed to be.
Yeah, like it was something I did for myself.
Yep. And at one point I thought, you know what, we're going to come back and we're going to wrap up, and episode 500 will be the last Star Wars movie. And that'll be it. Like, that's going to put a pin in it, and then it'll be done. And then I realized when we came back, it's like, you know what? No, it doesn't have to be. There's no reason to just stop. We're still having a good time.
Yeah, I'm not doing this for somebody else.
Right. Exactly. And that's when and then like, was it a couple of weeks ago, I said, you know what? No, we're not going to do Rise of Skywalker for 500. We'll do it for 501 because also the 501st, but also
fuck it.
I don't think I'm done.
Yeah, like
I'm still having a great time. And
there's still movies to watch. I'm literally like, what the time you say, I don't want to do the work to put this together, I'm be like, all right, that's cool. I'm gonna watch a movie, and then like the first thing I'm gonna do is go to that hangout and be like, what the fuck do we feel about this movie?
Yep.
like
we just won't have to save it for the podcast then.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the only difference.
And honestly, with the whole plague situation, I don't feel like I'm doing any extra work saving it.
No.
Because I'm gonna be alone otherwise.
Yep.
Fuck, I hate being alone, man. Ugh, this is fucking brutal.
Yeah. But soon. soon. That vaccine's coming soon.
Oh, I know.
I can almost feel that prick going into my arm.
Oh, Jesus. The soonest I get it into me, I still have to wear a mask when I go places, but like just the
Yep.
The likelihood I'll give it to somebody else is so much lower, which is all I really give a shit about.
That's all that matters.
I just don't want to kill anybody.
All right, you know what? Let's call this a night. It's been 500, and it's still going.
And we're closing in 4 hours.
Yeah. I knew it would be a couple. I didn't realize it would be 4.
Yep.
But it was a good full 4 hours with a lot of people, a lot of good conversation, a lot of fun. And if anybody's still listening to the podcast, I'm curious how long it will end up being once we cut any breaks. I don't know if there's going to be that many. We had a lot of good, solid conversations that just kept going.
T likes to talk.
I always love having T and Pip on the show.
Yep, me too.
I knew it was going to be special with talking about this movie and then finding out that Pip was going to be able to join us because it's like, oh yeah, she's going to have a lot of good insight to add. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.
Double salute, baby.